Chapter 278. Mistakes. The presents included cubulos, wild ginseng, silk, brocade and several boxes of delicate cakes. That counted up to more than a dozen gift boxes. Ms. Fong kept laughing but with guilt. The two young masters are just so generous. So generous. Xiao Xian understood the rules of the big mansions. She gave a few red packets with money inside to the coachman and the two staff. The three of them had not expected that they would receive red packets from a family in the countryside. They all laughed happily and developed good feelings towards the Xiao family. The guy also told Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian that in a couple of days later, their young master would get some people to fetch the watermelons, and that they would arrive at dawn, hoping that they could open the door for them. Xiao Yunduan nodded. Many people already spotted the honored guests that visited the first section of the Xiao family the day before, and more people witnessed the presents today. Some people were even craning their necks out to see what was inside. Seeing that they were giving presents to the first section of the Xiao family, they could not help but feel jealous. They are blooming. So great that they have married a good daughter-in-law. Yunduan is excellent too. What if he passes the next level of the imperial exam next year? Then it would be more than just rich people who came to visit the Xiao family. True. Wow. Widow Sun also witnessed the familiar wagon, and could not help but follow up. She was also among those who gossiped. Hearing those words, Widow Sun felt both jealous and angry. She pursed her lips and snorted, walking away. She would never admit that she was regretful not to have approved of the marriage with the Xiao family in the past. If she had known that Xiao Yunduan was so good and had befriended so many rich people, she would have loved to establish a marriage relationship with them. But she soon pressed down this idea. She did not want to admit that she regretted it. He is just a cultivated talent, and he will not make it to recommended man. It is not so easy to go to the next level. He is just dreaming. Widow Sun felt much better after consoling herself. Seeing Ms. Niu coming towards her, she suddenly came up with an idea, laughing. Your nephew, cultivated talent Xiao, has become quite successful. Two rich young masters visited their home the day before. Today they sent him so many presents. 10 boxes. They could not even carry them home with 4 arms. Honestly, I underscored into the two young masters yesterday, and they looked so handsome and well-dressed. They are definitely not from ordinary families. Widow Sun winked and elbowed Ms. Niu, asking with a small, smiling tone. Your Miling is old enough to get married, right? Why not ask your nephew for help? You are relatives and she can marry someone handsome. If you miss it, that would be pitiful. Widow Sun wished that she could get her own daughter to marry one of them. But she realized that she was incapable of doing so, unless the two of them came to the village again, and she got another chance to do so. She had just had a fight with Ms. Fong, who would never introduce such great young men to her daughter, but she could still vent her anger if she could make Ms. Niu pester her to do so. Chapter 279. Interested, she was putting forward a good idea to Ms. Niu. Ms. Niu was also very concerned about Xiao Miling's marriage, so she was quite moved after hearing that. Really? Tell me exactly what is going on. Those who could give large presents to the Xiao Fa_Mali should not have come from a bad family. When Ms. Niu heard about the gifts from Widow Sun, she soon had very greedy thoughts. But then she pressed down the idea. She understood clearly what was going on right now. Ms. Fong was too tough in her stance to share anything. Ms. Niu was very motivated to meet the two rich young masters. Even if she did not like Xiao Yunduan, she had to admit that Xiao Yunduan was a cultivated talent, and he should be hanging out with people from above-average families. If the two young masters were rich and handsome as Widow Sun said, then any of them would be quite suitable to become her son-in-law. That should not be troublesome for the first section of the family. Xiao Yunduan and Ms. Fong should offer some help, right? They had to. Hearing that Ms. Niu was interested in her idea, Widow Sun became smug and started to brag more and more. She described Yuezheng Xiao and Xiejingrong as special existences, who offered presents and came to visit them personally. She surmised that they should definitely be in a good relationship with Xiao Yunduan. That would make everything easy for Ms. Niu. Hearing that, Ms. Niu got so happy, though she kept denying the possibility. I am not sure, but if it works as you said, I will invite you for the wedding. Sure, I will definitely want to be at the wedding. The two women exchanged a look and laughed. Widow Sun kept bitching about Ms. Niu inwardly. This woman was so greedy. Why couldn't she realize the simple fact that rich young masters would not marry any countryside girls as the wife, even though Xiao Yunduan was their friend? Also, Ms. Fong would never make her wish come true. Ms. Niu hurried home and talked with second uncle about this. Second uncle was quite motivated as well. In their opinions, Xiao Yunduan was cultivated talent, and he had a promising future. Qiao Xian was Officer Qiao's daughter and their niece-in-law. So with these two as mediators, there should be a high possibility of getting their daughter to marry one of Xiao Yunduan's friends. But they had to tell the elder uncle about it first. Therefore, when eldest uncle asked Xiao Yunduan if the guests were engaged, Xiao Yunduan was totally startled. In fact, both Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian were shocked. What were second aunt and second uncle thinking? They did not know where the two young masters were from, but they should realize that Xiao Miling was not a match for any of them. Ms. Fong screamed. The couple is crazy, right? How dare they say things like this? Miling is not a match for either of them. Eldest uncle was displeased. Miling is your niece, and your face will also lift if she marries well. How can you demean her like this? Ms. Fong rolled her eyes. Damn. Honestly, her own Tao Tao was better than that girl, and she had plenty of dowry to take along. Still, she never thought about marrying her to a rich family. They were not from the same background, and if she married into such a family, she would be humiliated and looked down upon by relatives and friends. That would not be good for her. She could find a down-to-earth farmer, and with dozens of good fields and a lot of money. With that, they would probably have a happy life together. Chapter 280. It tried to add. Xiao Yunduan could not help but sigh and shake his head. Please let second uncle and second aunt drop the idea. Those two young masters. He was not going to tell him where Yuezhing Xiao and Xie Jingrong were really from. What if the news spread and reached Officer Qiao? That would be so troublesome. They are cultivated talents and from rich families. Moreover, in all likelihood, their parents have already arranged the marriage for them. I don't know whether they are engaged, but they are just my ordinary friends. How can I ask them about this? Aloes, the two families don't match at all. Ms. Fong sneered. True. Some people just don't understand who they are, and keep adding trouble to others. Yunduan has made some good friends, and if they don't hang out with Yunduan because of this embarrassing thing, he will lose important contacts. Let me tell you, if you ruin Yunduan's future, I will hate you forever. Eldest uncle frowned. I am not this kind of person, okay? I was just asking. Since they already have marriage plans, we can drop it, of course. Also, we need to have both parties satisfied before taking it further. But Miling is also your niece. How can you look down at her? Can't you just say something good about her? She is at the age of getting married. Why can't you be nice to her? Ms. Fong rolled her eyes. Okay, she is good. As long as she doesn't ruin my son, then she can do whatever she wants. You. Eldest uncle glared. Second uncle and Ms. Niu got annoyed as they heard the hesitant answer. Eldest brother, so whether or not those two young masters are not engaged is not certain, right? Why not mention the matter to them? What if either of them like Miling? Yeah. Our Miling is beautiful and diligent. Why can't she be a match? Just give it a try, okay? Eldest brother, you want Miling to marry into a good family, right? If we lose this chance, we won't get any better ones. We can just try. All you need to do is ask what if they come together? We will be grateful to you forever. Yeah. Second uncle, and Ms. Niu kept begging eldest uncle, who became really annoyed. He wanted to promise them, but he did not want to make a decision on behalf of Xiao Yunduan, so he answered briefly and hurried off. Ms. Niu snapped and sneered. Eldest brother is always talking about beautiful things, about how we are a family and should help each other. But I think that he is very selfish. Second uncle. Yes, you simply take Miling to their house when the guests come next time. Ah yeah. Ms. Niu's eyes sparkled. You are so clever. I will just do that. She felt a bit sour. I think that Yunduan is getting more promising, and he should have more friends coming to his home in the future. I will watch out for his guests henceforth. We are open to anyone. She had to admit that Xiao Yunduan was cultivated talent, and he was not befriending any farmers. She had no cultivated talent at home, but she could have a cultivated talent as her son-in-law. What if that man became an officer in the future? Then, her daughter would become the wife of an officer. They should make full use of what they have now. If the first section could help them, things would not be bad. Xiao Yunduan and the others of the family did not know anything about this, so no one mentioned the matter anymore. Chapter 281. Going back to the capital even though there was no mention, Xiao Xian laughed inwardly and told Xiao Yunduan that their second uncle and second aunt really liked dreaming. Despite that they had no idea who Yuezhing Xiao and Xie Jingrong really were, they should have at least thought that people from ordinary families did not dress like that at all. They wished to climb higher through marriage, but had they ever thought about whether the other person wanted to marry someone like their daughter? Soon it was the day when Yuezhing Xiao's men came to pick the watermelons. When it was dawn, the coachman as well as 2 page boys arrived. Apart from Ms. Fong and eldest uncle, everyone else was up, busy picking the watermelons. Eldest uncle also wanted to offer some help, but Ms. Fong stopped him. Ms. Fong said, "You don't have to come along. There are already so many who are in the field, and it wouldn't work if everyone went there." In fact, Ms. Fong just did not want him to see what was going on in the yard. There were so many things in the yard, after all. Although they all knew that it was Xiao Xian's personal property, the eldest uncle was never resolute, especially if he saw this. Hearing that, eldest uncle nodded and believed that it was true. So he did not go over to help. The watermelons were very large, and with so many people helping out, the watermelons filled up the wagons within 1 hour. They had 200 watermelons altogether, and the total amount was 60 liang. 60 liang wasn't that much for the first section of the Xiao Fa_Mali. But it was a business without cost A_D. The amount was enough to last for 4 or 5 years. Xiao Xian did not share the money with the rest of the family, but she offered to make a delicious dinner that night. They cheered, especially Yang Xiaoni and Xiao Sanlang, who started looking forward to the dinner already. Even if Xiao Xian did not offer to make dinner, the rest of the family would say nothing. They had cold, sweet and juicy watermelons every day for lunch, and that was a huge advantage for them. Xiao Xian gave one to the coachman and the page boys respectively. The coachman and page boys were so happy that they kept thanking her. Watermelons were rare, and they were going to take them home for friends and family to eat. That would surely lift up their reputation. There were a few watermelons that were not ripe, and Yuezhing Xiao would send some more men to fetch the remaining ones after a week or so. At this rate, they would come over at least 3 more times. With watermelons ready in the wagon, Yuezhing Xiao and Xie Jingrong decided to leave the town. Yuezhing Xiao simply could not wait to sell the watermelons and lipsticks. County Magistrate Xiao had been watching them all the time. His messenger did not follow them on their trip, but would pass on the information to County Magistrate Xiao the moment they arrived. Then Strategist Liu and he would come to the door and greet them, exchanging a few words. That really annoyed Yuezhing Xiao and Xie Jingrong. But he was an officer of the town and they could not possibly drive him and his people away. When they were just about to leave, County Magistrate Xiao came with Strategist Liu in a hurry to see them off, making the 2 young masters feel irritated. Yuezhing Xiao complained, "What is County Magistrate Xiao doing here?" Xie Jingrong said calmly, "He is very anxious to return to the capital." Yuezhing Xiao was startled and burst out into laughter. Hurrying back to the capital? No wonder they wanted to get on well with the Xie family. He hoped that the Xie family could help him to get back to the capital. But this officer with such low competence would not return with a high title. Also, he would have to wait for a few more years before being granted even a small position. Chapter 282. Plan. County Magistrate Xiao and his gang suddenly spotted the wagon full of watermelons. Adasin got Yuezhing Xiao and Xle Jingrong. County Magistrate Liao's eyes sparkled. He tried to press down his excitement and said calmly, "Strategist, you saw that too?" Strategist Liu could not help but lick his lips, drooling inwardly. That was a wagon filled with watermelons. He would like to have some too. It would be wonderful if they could eat those large, juicy watermelons and feel their coolness and texture. He had been working for the county magistrate for a few years, but he only ate 2 slices of watermelons last summer, which was given by the county magistrate. The county magistrate himself had not yet eaten any watermelons this year. Strategist Lu could not help but lament. That young master of the Yuezheng family just doesn't know that he should offer you a dozen. That was what County Magistrate Qiao was thinking inwardly, but he was not going to say it out loud. He waved his hands, pretending to be open-minded. Young Master Yuezheng is a businessman who only cares about profits. Also, I don't accept things from others for free. You are honest, officer. You never take benefits from anyone that I know. Strategist Lu raised his eyebrows and started to think. So, do we have someone who is planting watermelons in our county? I will go around and try to see who is doing that. We can buy some too. The watermelons would be so good for the summer. County Magistrate Qiao nodded as he smiled. Good, you can go about and take a look. Try and buy as many as possible. Okay, officer. Strategist Lu smiled and felt happy inwardly. The farmers would definitely be glad to have a connection with the county magistrate when he finds them and buys their watermelons. He would get however many he wanted when he saw them. No one would ask the officer for money. By that time he was going to get dozens of watermelons, enough for the whole summer. When Officer Qiao returned to the mansion, Madame Qiao said with a smile, "Lilt is getting really hot these days, and we are not sleeping well. I decided to send some people to get some watermelons from the province tomorrow to bring home. If you need anything else, we can buy them together." Qiao Wei was spoiled and greedy for watermelons. Madame Qiao cared about her and did not want to see her suffer. Watermelons did not have a high yield last year due to the torrential rains, and the housekeeper said that one good watermelon would cost 7 qian, which was way over the budget. So only a few were bought. When the housekeeper went to fetch some more, the watermelons were nowhere to be seen. So they needed to go there earlier this year. Officer Qiao smiled. No need to go to the capital, we have watermelons here too. He told her what Strategist Lu's plan was. Madame Qiao cheered and smiled. That is good. Just let Strategist Lu get the information and watermelons too. You are working for the county day and night, and the farmers should not ask you for money. Chapter 283. Gossip, they should have brought some to you on their own. Damned civilians, never understanding the rules. Officer Zhou rubbed his beard and nodded. He believed that his wife was right. Damned civilians. Madame Zhou added. Young Master Yuezheng is also too arrogant. You saw them off. He should have given you some watermelons on his own. How dare he ignore you? Officer Zhou, who was deeply hurt by Yuezheng Xiao and Xie Jingrong's ignorance, felt very humiliated hearing what Madame Zhou said. Young Master Yuezheng never thinks about those small things. Madame Qiao brought herself back and smiled. True. Madame Zhou spoke to Zhou Wei about watermelons, and she was very happy too. It seemed that they were going to have many watermelons to eat during this summer season. I hope they are sweet. Not every farmer is able to plant good watermelons, otherwise they would not have been so rare. Mom, we are buying them in the province if they are not sweet here. Of course. Madame Zhou said with an indulgent smile. It was going to be a very quick exercise. Watermelons were planted in the field, and no one was able to conceal that for long. What they needed to do was to do some simple investigation. Zhou Wei and Madame Zhou even got prepared to eat watermelons the following day. It was going to be such a cooling relief if they were able to eat large watermelons on this hot day. That was a tempting thought. However, 2 days passed and they could not see a thing. Zhou Wei could not help but complain. They are so lazy. How can they be so slow as not to get an idea of where the watermelons are? Madame Zhou frowned and got someone to ask Strategist Lu. Strategist Lu was very anxious and disappointed as well. How would he know? The whole thing was so strange that they could find nothing. He had sent many people to look around and theoretically speaking, they should have been able to eat watermelons by that night itself. However, it seemed that the watermelons Yuezheng Xiao carried had appeared out of nowhere. No matter what, they could not find the source. Strategist Lu got so annoyed. He just did not understand where the watermelons would have grown, so he got someone to dig deeper. Before he could find anything, Madame Zhou's men came to ask him for the result. Strategist Lu had to tell the truth. Madame Zhou complained that he was useless, but she had no choice except to wait. Yet no matter how much they tried, they still could not even find out who planted the fruit, and some people even had no idea of what watermelons were. Then they heard that watermelons might have grown out in the wild field, and not planted at home. Strategist Lu thought for a while, and could not find out any other explanation, thus telling the truth. The county magistrate was disappointed, but he believed the excuse and dropped the idea. What a pity that the watermelons were gone. Madame Zhou and Xiao Wei felt even more annoyed. Madame Zhou sent her servants to buy watermelons from the province. Don't worry, Wei, we are going to buy many of them, even though it costs 1 liang for one. Only then did Zhou Wei drop the anger. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian finally let out a sigh of relief hearing that the officers stopped seeking the origin of watermelons. Although they stressed repeatedly that the family should not spread the news around, they were still quite worried. They could counter the situation if they were found, but the best thing would be that they were never found. Chapter 284. Watermelons. Hearing that Officer Qiao's family made so many efforts just to eat watermelons, but obtained nothing in the end, Xiao Xian ate 2 more slices purely out of delight. Luckily, they did not let Manager Qin help them with selling watermelons. Also, they dropped the idea of giving 2 watermelons to Manager Qin. Yuezheng Xiao took the watermelons home, but did not plan to sell them. Instead, he was going to give them away as presents. He gave Xie Jingrong 20 watermelons, 20 to his parents, and kept 20 for himself. By this point, half the amount was gone. The watermelons were large and round, looking beautiful and tasting sweet. They were most suitable as presents. Especially in this weather, nothing was better than a few large watermelons. There were many watermelons in the market, and those fixed farmers already got their watermelons booked before they turned ripe. Therefore, those that could come to the market were not only quite limited in number, but also unripe. Madame Zhou sent her housekeeper to buy the watermelon, and luckily, he ran into some cheap ones in the market the following day. Although the housekeeper said that it was just one of the leftovers and not very sweet, yet the housekeeper believed that the watermelons looked really good and sounded quite crispy from outside, thus buying them as good watermelons. The expensive watermelons would not be too sweet, but surely would not be bad. The housekeeper bought 10 altogether. 5 liang for 1 pile of watermelons. That was very costly. 5 liang could buy hundreds of kgs of rice. But he decided to tell his master that it cost 7 liang, so he could save 2 liang for himself. Once watermelons as well as other things were bought, the housekeeper went back home early the next day. Madame Zhou and Zhou Wei got so happy when the watermelons arrived that they started to drool. Qiao Ko and concubine Du were serving them and feeling greedy inwardly. They knew that even 1 slice would be quite satisfying for them. However, when the maid broke open a watermelon, it looked really white with just a touch of redness. Worse, the skin was not at all fresh. After a bite, one realized that it had no taste, and the soft texture did not taste sweet or fresh at all. Xiao Wei spat and had 1 more cut up. But all the 10 watermelons were the same. Ah! Zhou Wei snapped. What rubbish did the housekeeper buy? Is he blind? He can't even buy 1 correct one. The more they wanted something, the less likely they were able to get it. That caused a huge disappointment, and the anger arose involuntarily. Zhou Wei could not help but want to hit someone. She threw herself in Madame Zhou's arms and cried. What she wanted was to just eat 1 watermelon. How could that be so difficult? Madame Zhou got so annoyed that she scolded the housekeeper. The housekeeper's face turned. He begged for forgiveness continuously. He had not foreseen this. How could the farmer sell the rotten watermelons at such a high price? And the watermelons could not prove bad unless broken open. He was cheated too. Madame Zhou scolded him and ordered him to back off. Chapter 285. Watermelons available. Of course, she knew that the housekeeper had been fooled as well, but she still felt really annoyed. Consoling Zhou Wei, Madame Zhou sent someone else to buy watermelons again. She just did not believe that it was not possible to eat 1 watermelon. She was quite vexed. Therefore, She must eat at least one watermelon to drive away the anger. Unexpectedly, the housekeeper never ran into anyone who was selling watermelons even after spending so many days in the province. Feeling helpless, the housekeeper did not dare to stay for too long. He returned empty-handed. The mother and daughter, along with Officer Zhou, got very annoyed by this. They could eat a few watermelons last year, but this year they managed to eat none. They felt so horrible not to have been able to eat any. The more Xiaowei thought about this, the more angry she became. I just wanted to eat one watermelon. How can this broken, shabby place offer none? I am so fed up with it. Distressed, Madame Zhou consoled her. It is just a watermelon, nothing precious. It is not so rare that we eat nothing good otherwise. We can get all kinds of things we want when we go back to the capital. Xiaowei snorted and felt very displeased. Her face was sullen. It was so irritating. On the other hand, in the first section of the Xiao family, watermelons were very popular. Every day at lunchtime, they would cut 2 large, round ones and have a good taste of it. Their thirst was properly relieved. Everyone present was very happy. While County Magistrate Obo's family failed to get any watermelons, 2 more wagons full of ripe watermelons were transported out of the village and headed directly towards the province. This time, Yuezheng Xiao decided to sell the watermelon at the price of 3 qian for one. 3 of his friends bought them really quickly. The clients were very passionate about these watermelons, which he had given out as presents at the beginning. This fruit turned out to be so tasty and sweet, and the cost wasn't high either. They bought them for themselves and friends, and they would not resell them to anyone else. When watermelons and tea leaves were sold out, Zhao Xian started to focus upon the business of mushrooms. The sheds and materials for mushrooms were ready, and the seeds had been found. Once the project kicked off, they were going to make a fortune. With her superpower in play, Zhao Xian could easily distinguish the categories of the mushrooms, so she was never anxious about starting with this business. Ms. Fang and Xiao Xiaoqi could not help but feel worried for her. They were worried that the mushrooms were difficult to find, and they kept consoling her that she did not need to work so hard for it. Zhao Xian smiled and nodded, accepting the kindness. There was very little they could do in the farmland, and when the last batch of lipsticks was made, the flowers stopped blooming. Roses had been picked out, and the other kinds were already withering. Even if Xiao Xian wanted to use her superpower, she needed to be cautious. So she had to wait a little longer. Also, the beeswax was used up, and they needed to get some more of that. Therefore Zhao Xian, Xiao Xiaoqi, Xiao Taotao as well as Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni went into the mountains together. Xiao Dalong and Ms. Su were helping Zhao Xian sort out the floral fields, where they trimmed the leaves and watered the plants. Zhao Xian brought in some water that was hundreds of meters far away. And when the water was to be used, the only thing they needed to do was turn it on and the water would come. They were paid 30 won a day for their work. Xiao Dalong and Ms. Su were both quite willing to do the work. They decided to find mushrooms and wild honey as well as some other precious herbs during their trip to the mountains. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 286. Love shown off. Yang Xiaoni had never walked into mountains as deep as these, so she was both very curious and excited. She looked around, swinging her neck. Xiao Sanlang wasn't all that experienced, but he was very willing to show off his knowledge in front of his wife by bragging about how interesting things were in the mountains, and how was able to get numerous prey. Hearing him say all that, Yang Xiaoni could not help but look at him with admiration. Brother Sanlang, you know so much. Odeo Xian could not help but clog her ears as she walked next to them. They were too much. They managed to track down numerous mushrooms, and got more than 35 to 40 kilograms of wild honey. Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni ate a lot of honey while they were dating, since he was very annoyed by how he got stung years ago. But later, they both got fed up. It was too much for them. But after so many days in the mountains, they only found 4 sites of snow fungus. Zhao Xian used her superpower every now and then, but she could not use too much of it. So they failed to find too many. Snow fungus were very precious, and once they grew, the values would be much higher than the other categories of mushrooms. Xiao Xian was not anxious. She was going to urge the already growing ones so they would be enough. Xiao Xiaoqi got a lot of things too. He had roosters and rabbits to take home, which were enough for the family to eat. They even got 2 honeycombs on this day, and Xiao Xian had a discussion with the rest of the family that they could cease the search after the next day. They were all quite exhausted. Also, they needed to work on the honey. Xiao Taotao and Yang Xiaoni both agreed. They believed that floral fields were more important, especially when the new flowers bloomed. They would need to work hard on it. Luckily, Xiao Xiaoqi got 1 water deer, chubby and large, weighing around 15 kilograms. Water deer should taste really good, but it was quite timid and ran fast. It was never easy to catch it. Therefore, even finding 1 water deer made everyone happy. They all turned to Zhou Xian asking, "How should we make it?" Zhou Xian just could not help but feel a bit helpless. They now considered her to be the chef. But it was very easy to work as a chef. She just needed to work on the pot, whilst the rest were done by the others. She thought for a while and said, "Deer, wild sheep, and wild deer are almost the same. Just follow the way of making mutton. Braised, stewed, stir-fried, and boiled are definitely not bad." They all nodded and agreed. Yang Xiaoni licked her lips, saying cheerfully, "I became so hungry after hearing your words." Xiao Sanlang added, "This is a large one, you can eat some more at dinner." "Yes, Brother Sanlang, you should eat some more too." "Of course." Xiao Xian and the others. They showed off love wherever they were. Ms. Fong was very glad to see such a huge prey when she came home. She helped with boiling the water and removing the fur. Many villagers were drawn to watch the show. Such a large prey was rarely seen, and the villagers wanted to see what they were going to do with it. However, as they were watching the processing of the animal, a gray-haired old woman, together with 2 young men and 2 young women, arrived there. "Is this Ms. Fang's home?" They all turned to look at the newcomers. "Sorry for the inconvenience." "Thank you very much." Chapter 287. Ms. Zhou's family. Ms. Fong glanced at them, nodding with a smile. "I am Ms. Fong, who are you?" She really had no idea who they were. Nor did anyone from the Xiao family recognize them. Someone seemed to recognize her, and was about to speak up, when the old woman went up to her and took hold of Ms. Fang's hands. In a grateful voice she said, "I am from the Zhou family. My daughter used to be the 2nd daughter-in-law of the Ding family. I am older than you, and I will address you as my niece. Thank you for helping my daughter." Oh, they were from Ms. Zhou's home. People present could not help but wear a look of understanding. Ms. Fong brought herself back, laughing. "Don't worry, Ms. Zhou and I have always been good friends, and it was just a little help. No need to make a big deal out of it." "But I am grateful," she said with teeth clenched as she sneered. "Some people are the worst human beings. Thank goodness you were here." Ms. Fong shook her head out of courtesy and asked them to have a seat inside. The villagers left, seeing that something was going on in the family, and Ms. Fong was driving them away. When Ms. Zhou and Ding Erju had the wooden house built and all was settled, they bought some chicken and opened up the field. Their life had just started. The remaining work should just be routine. Only at that time did Ms. Zhou return to her own home with her child. Ms. Zhou had thought about turning to her natal family when she ran into trouble, but she felt too ashamed to go over. When she went home and talked about the whole issue, the mother and the daughter cried a lot. Ms. Zhou had a brother who always cared about her. She was not very close to her sister-in-law, but they always talked in a friendly way. Hearing that, her parents and brother got so annoyed. Ms. Zhou spent one night at her mother's home, and the following morning, her parents, brother, sister-in-law, and cousins all rushed to the Zhang village and hit Ding Erju. Ms. Zhou shielded him, but the whole family scolded Ding Erju angrily. They married their daughter to him only because he looked very honest. But now their daughter was suffering so much. Ding Erju cried too. He felt very guilty while facing his brother-in-law as well as his parents-in-law. His parents-in-law had always treated him well. Every time he visited them, they would kill the chicken to treat him, and let him bring some food home when he returned. He even borrowed some grains from them. But he failed to protect their daughter, and let her suffer so much during the past few years. When she was done scolding her son-in-law, she took her children and nieces as well as her family to the 5th Grandpa Ding's home. She did not have her husband with her, who stayed back at home. 5th Grandma Ding was at home. Seeing the Zhou family coming towards her, she was about to defend herself when everyone rushed forward and hit her. They ripped off her clothes, grabbed her hair, hit her face and pinched her arms. They spared no efforts to hit her. Fifth Grandma Ding's 2 sons were gone, and 2 daughter-in-laws were both absent. So she was mercilessly hit by the Zhou family. Also, she treated none of her daughter-in-laws well, and even if they were around, they might not have offered any help either. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 288. Purpose. Later, Madame Zhou took her son and daughter-in-law, rushing into Fifth Grandpa Ding's home and smashed everything. They broke every utensil in the kitchen and spilled the seasonings onto the ground. But for being a farmer's family himself and not wanting to ruin the food, they would have poured all the grain into the ditch. Fifth Grandma Ding's heart felt broken. She cried and kept calling her a bitch constantly. Annoyed, Madame Zhou hit her again. They were in the midst of the fight when the Ding family finally came home. The Ding family got so annoyed that they demanded the Zhou family to repay them. Madame Zhou snapped. Repay you what? You need to compensate me for my granddaughter's life first. Fifth Grandpa Ding could not hold it in. That was her fault. She was just a child. What did she know? You believe that she can think rationally? You were so cruel as to trap her in the ancestral hall and not allow her to eat or drink anything. Fifth Grandpa Ding felt so strange when he heard this. How did she know about not getting any food? Fifth Grandpa Ding flushed out of anger. He shivered and could not utter a sound. Madame Zhou sneered. My daughter and my son-in-law are not lazy, are they? They show respect to you, right? Still, you drove them out without giving them any share in the properties. How dare you separate the family like this? Ding Sanju snapped. It was them who wanted to do so. Oh really? But you allowed them to go away, right? They were forced to move out without getting anything. It is ridiculous. Ding Sanju got very annoyed but was speechless in the end. Madame Zhou glanced at them and sneered. Since you drove them out, the relation has been cut off directly. Don't ever dare to come to us for anything good in the future. If I ever find out that you are doing so, I will slap you to death. Fifth Grandpa Ding shivered out of anger. They should never come back home too. I won't accept them either. We won't. Madame Zhou sneered. Bear it well in mind. After the chaos, they thanked those who had helped their daughter before. And then they headed to the first section of the Zhou family to express their gratitude. Although many people helped the couple, the first section of the Zhou family had given the biggest help. They even arranged the future for them. The Zhou family were very grateful to them, and they definitely would come to the door to express their thanks. Ms. Fong could not help but sigh, telling Madame Zhou that everything would be fine. Madame Zhou shed some tears and thanked them again before leaving. Ms. Fong liked Madame Zhou's straightforward personality. Madame Zhou was a very straightforward person who had taught her daughter to be kind. But that did not become a merit. Ms. Fong could not help but feel bothered. It seemed that her Tao was too kind as well. She should be taught to be fierce too, maybe? The family affairs of Fifth Grandpa Ding's home became the gossip for many people, and it went on for a long time. The whole family got so annoyed but they did not dare to turn to the Zhou family for any sort of repayment. They had to accept the loss. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 289. Unspeakable Feelings. Ms. Su Yang Xiaoni. All of them felt sorry for Ms. Zhou's family. But Xiao Xian and Ms. Fong were the ones who knew what was really going on, so they exchanged a look and smiled at each other. It made their relationship closer. The water deer was soon handled, and the meat was sliced. They were aware that the internal organs were good things too, so they held them in a basin. It was a huge animal that should be shared with the other sections of the family. So Ms. Fong asked Xiao Sanlang to cut a few medium-level meat for them. She was not going to deliver it, nor would she let Tao Tao do that. She asked eldest uncle to do so personally. She decided not to get involved with them in any case. Eldest uncle was very displeased, but he said nothing to counter her. Sure enough, the second and the third sections of the family complained about getting very little meat. They did not say it straightforwardly, but that was exactly what they meant. Eldest uncle was feeling rather displeased inwardly, but the first section of the family did not care. They started the fire and put all the inner organs inside the pot, adding different kinds of spices for braising. The other stove was heated as well. The water deer was cut into different sizes of diced and stewed on the dried bamboo. Ms. Su was slicing the meat for frying while Qiao Xian intended to make a dish of stewed ribs. Stewed ribs were easy to make. Rice and glutinous rice were soaked a little, fried in a pan until they turned brown, then ground and a little salt was added. She had planned to add the 5-spice powder, but it was not present at the moment. So she could only make a simpler version of it, and tried to see what it tasted like. Qiao Xian did not think that it was going to taste bad, because the fried rice smelled good. Then she could add some more spices, like star anises, fennels and cinnamon to make it fragrant. When it was time for dinner, a table full of delicious water deer was brought to the table. Everyone was attracted to the stewed water deer meat immediately. That is a new dish. It looks really delicious. They just could not wait to touch the dish. The meat smelled fragrant, and the rice flour over it had locked the freshness of the meat. As the scent of rice and meat were combined, it tasted best when eaten hot. Qiao Xian had not eaten this kind of dish in a long while, and she had not expected that water deer, when made this way, would taste especially fresh. Then she could make some more similar ones. The following day, Qiao Xian suddenly felt a bit tired. She suggested that they should deal with the already existing honey first and get the beeswax, before paying a visit to the mountains. Qiao Xian's suggestion catered to what others were also thinking. Actually, it was because Qiao Xian sensed the moisture in the air, and she predicted that it was going to rain very soon. She was very sensitive towards the air changes, and she could forecast the weather within 1 day's time. Sure enough, clouds covered up the sun at lunchtime, and the sky fell into darkness. Thunderstorm arrived and the rain poured down. They were in the middle of extracting honey and beeswax, and felt lucky that they were not in the mountains. Otherwise the rain would have been too heavy for them to handle. Qiao Xian could tell that the rain would last for a very long time, maybe come down continuously for a couple of days. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 290. Watermelon candy that was good. In this way, flowers would grow even more vividly. When it was sunny again, she decided to use her superpower. Then soon, the flowers would bloom flourishingly. However, the watermelons were not in the same state. Although she used her superpower to make the watermelons grow better, so that they could have stronger resistance against the environment compared to the ordinary ones, watermelons were, after all, watermelons. They were afraid of the water piled up. Water puddles rotten the fruits, and the texture as well as the sweetness would be heavily reduced. That was horrible. She decided to sell them at a lower price if Yuezhing Xiao's men came to fetch them after a few days. With many helping hands, honey was all done. There were many jars holding them, and each of them took 1 jar home, and left the rest for sale. Qiao Xian smiled. I only need this much, and I don't need the profits gained from the honey sale this time. Everyone can have a share. Elder brother, sister-in-law, though you were not with us in the mountains, you worked so hard and you should have some profits too. Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni were not picky people, so they nodded in agreement. Xiao Taotao smiled. 5th sister-in-law found the honeycombs and she has the final call on everything. She hoped that this kind of day would last for a long time. However, if someone became selfish in the future, they would live separately, and would not have a row with each other. Ms. Su had plenty of money and she was much happier right now. Yang Xiaoni did not have many thoughts. It was Qi's wife who remained to be seen. It was still raining the following day. They were all bored. Ms. Fong felt very concerned about the watermelons in the yard. Qiao Xian asked Ms. Fong and Ms. Su to fetch some large ones home. They decided to remove the seeds and make some watermelon candies. They were bored, so they had this idea, so they could save some watermelons on the way. They were both very excited and curious about it, and helped along. The watermelons were slowly simmered on low heat and filtered with gauze. The amber-colored viscous syrup obtained in the end was very beautiful. When people tasted it, there was a unique fragrance of watermelon in the sweetness, which was very tempting. Qiao Xian had a couple of large plates in her hands and poured the syrup in them. They waited until the liquid solidified. After 2 hours, the syrup set in. When it went harder, it was cut into finger sizes and watermelon candies were formed, as the new sort of snack. It was not easy to see candies in this era, so children at home got so happy to get candies like that. Xiao Junyan and Xiao Qing were excited, and Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao were happy to eat them as well. Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni were no exceptions. Both of them were so happy about it. Xiao Xian tasted one, and felt really satisfied. She gave it to Xiao Yunduan and smiled. Sweet, huh? The watermelon candies could be good snacks, handy and tasty. We can buy some yellow paper to wrap them up next time we go into the town, and we can save them in the jar. When they made the candies in the future, they could also add some crushed peanuts, crushed walnuts, raisins, mint juice, rose juice, osmanthus. That meant that they could eat all kinds of candies. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 291. Chaos. She could ask Yuezhing Xiao to find a carpenter who could make some silver or bronze candy models to shape the candies and future potential cakes. The more Xiaoxian thought about this, the more motivated she was. Seeing her sparkling eyes, Xiao Yunduan could not help but smile and nod. Your ideas are never bad. Xiaoxian chuckled and exchanged a look with him. I think so too. The two of them smiled at each other. Xiaoxian picked some tomatoes for stewing. She made a jar of ketchup and asked Ms. Su to yeast the pasta. She was going to make ketchup with egg noodles. Ketchup was a very good thing. She could save some to make sugar-coated ribs or braise the tofu. The sweet and sour ketchup was added with eggs and mixed into the noodles, which provided great texture, and it was really good for the stomach. It was really lively at the first section of the family, whilst the second section of the family was having problems. Due to the heavy rain, everyone was quite free at home. Ms. Niu was bored and decided to clean up the room a little. However, she found that the 5 liang she had hidden earlier was gone. Ms. Niu was a very sneaky person. She never hid her money in one place. So she was very startled when she saw the money missing. She checked around and found that everything else was still available. So she let out a sigh of relief. However, she felt so heartbroken thinking of the missing money. She always hid things well, and she never leafed through her hidden things in the room. Otherwise she would have thought of this earlier. She suddenly thought of Ms. Zhang. Especially when Ms. Zhang kept asking her for 2 liang of money, saying that her brother's wife was going to give birth and needed money. Ms. Niu did not agree to give her any. Ms. Zhang always sneaked things home, and Ms. Niu hated her for her small moves. She would never loan her any money. Also, Ms. Zhang never returned any money she had borrowed. This bitch. How dare she steal my stuff? Ms. Niu rushed to Ms. Zhang. Ms. Zhang did not admit to it initially, but after being scolded, she had to admit in tears. My brother's wife gave birth to a baby, and we are too poor. You don't even want to loan me anything. I had no choice, please forgive me. I will never do that again. Ms. Niu kicked Ms. Zhang to the ground. You will never do it again? You will always do it, given another chance. My children need money for their marriages, and we need money for our family. How dare you steal money to support your own family? I will make my son divorce you. Ms. Zhang cried. Don't, Mom. I really won't do that again. Ms. Zhang was very scared, but she did not regret a thing. She felt lucky. When she stole the money and took it home, her parents and brother were all cheerful. They kept praising her for being capable. That made her feel so satisfied and gratified. She believed that she had done a good deed. Her brother was the only son of the family, and he needed to be treated well. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 292. Furious, her mother-in-law would do nothing more but scold or hit her. She could bear that. After all, she had given birth to grandchildren for the family, and her mother-in-law would not drive her out. Also, it was not the first time for her to hear that she was going to be driven out. Hence, she did not panic. However, Ms. Niu was really pissed this time. She was not very happy about her stealing some stuff, but she could still tolerate that. But it was cash worth 5 liang this time. Worse, Ms. Zhang dared to sneak into her room to do the search. If it had happened once, it would happen twice. Her remaining cash would be taken out as well. Most importantly, She needed money to help her son and daughter to find good marriages, and Ms. Zhang was still focusing on her own family. What was this daughter-in-law good for? Second uncle and Xiao Erling were chatting at someone else's home, but returned when they heard that something had happened at home. Second uncle's face darkened, as he pointed at his son. You two go to the Zhang family to get back the money. Ms. Zhang cried. Don't please. Dad, forgive me. Ms. Niu spat at her and sneered. I will forgive you when you get the money back, but if you fail, you can stay at your own home and never return. Son, you can divorce her. Xiao Erling was startled. What? You are questioning me? Ms. Niu barked at him. No, Xiao Erling staggered. But our children are still so young. So what? You can marry another one next year. Ms. Niu sneered. I am not letting her get away with it this time. She can still be divorced even if she bore children for you. I won't let her go this time. Ms. Niu was really angry about this. If Ms. Zhang only stole a few coins, she would not have been so angry. But this was too much money for her to accept. Also, Ms. Zhang always had her own ideas. No matter how much money she stole, she would have been scolded, so she must have thought to take it all. Ms. Niu pushed Ms. Zhang and Xiao Erling out of the yard and slapped the door shut, sneering at them. Go to the Zhang family to get the money back. Without the money, Ms. Zhang will never be allowed to come back home. Ms. Zhang cried. Erlang, please, our children can't lose their mother. Xiao Erlang snapped and said angrily. Shut up now. How dare you cry like this? Go to your family to get back the money. Ms. Zhang's face changed. But, how dare you steal 5 liang from my mother? Your family is so greedy. Xiao Erlang sneered. With her head lowered, Ms. Zhang did not dare to speak up. The first section of the family soon heard about the story of the second section of the family. Ms. Fong pursed her lips and laughed. That's their family affairs. Your second aunt is not a good thing, nor is Ms. Zhang. How can she help her family like this? Her brother is like a piece of trash now. All the 3 sisters of the Zhang family kept helping their brother with all efforts. Hearing the gossip, Xiao Xian and the others felt so speechless. Suddenly, Ms. Zhang came rushing with tears and kneeling down in front of Ms. Fong. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 293. Begging. Ms. Zhang begged tearfully as she said to Ms. Fong, Please help me. Mom says that she is going to throw me out of the family, but my children should never lose their mother. Ms. Fang's face changed. You. Ms. Su could not help but retreat. She did not like to get involved with anything strange. Xiao Xian was so disgusted. She stole Ms. Niu's money, thus, was getting driven out. She came to Ms. Fong for a totally obvious purpose. She was trying to ask Ms. Fong to give her the money. Xiao Xian could not help but feel shocked inwardly. She spoke up. Second sister-in-law, you can talk to us in a normal way. Why are you crying like this? People might think that mom has done you some bad. Ms. Fong realized what was happening too. She pressed down her anger and sneered. True. What are you crying at my feet for? How annoying. Ms. Zhang shivered and ceased crying. She did not dare to counter Ms. Fong, but stared at Xiao Xian. Fifth sister-in-law, I am so pitiful, please don't scold me anymore. Second sister-in-law, you are pitiful but not because of us. I am just telling the truth. Xiao Xian said coldly. You think you are pitiful, so you believe that second aunt has been wrong in teaching you a lesson? Ms. Zhang. Only then did Ms. Fong feel a bit better. She drove away Xiao Sanlang and Xiao Xiaoqi, but said to Xiao Erlang, Erlang, have her get up, I can't stand this behavior. Xiao Erlang felt a bit uncomfortable, but moved to help his wife up. Ms. Zhang pushed him away. Please help me. Seeing her on her knees, Ms. Fong said, Ms. Su, Ms. Yang, get her up and deliver her back to the second section of the family. You have your own senior people in the family to take care of your affairs. I don't want to get involved in this matter. She would be crazy to get involved in their family's dealings. Ms. Zhang got so anxious as she looked at Ms. Fong with despair. Please, eldest aunt, loan me 5 liang? Fifth sister-in-law must easily have this much. Please, just 5 lian, I will definitely repay you. Erlang will divorce me if I don't give her the money. If my children lose their mother, you will feel bad too, right? Ms. Fong did not even change her expression. So, if your mother-in-law loves her grandchildren, she will never divorce you. Those are her grandchildren too, right? Just go back and offer a sincere apology. Ms. Zhang kept begging her. But Ms. Fong did not even want to look at her any longer. Helpless, Ms. Zhang snapped angrily. You are so cruel. Yang Xiaoni could not hold it anymore and said, Second sister-in-law, you are so unreasonable. You stole the money and second aunt drove you away. What does it have to do with us? You think that 5 liang falls from the sky so you can have it whenever you want it. Ms. Zhang burst out in tears and was finally pulled away by Xiao Erlang. She went back to the Zhang family with Xiao Erlang against her will. Ms. Fong sneered. Okay, just leave them alone. We will never get involved with such stupid things. Xiao Xian and Yang Xiaoni nodded in agreement. Really stupid things. But Ms. Zhang was really bold enough to steal money from Ms. Niu. This woman had been too obsessed with helping her brother to understand what was going on. Soon, eldest uncle hurried home and asked Ms. Fong. I heard that Ms. Zhang is being driven out of the family. What is going on? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 294. Not interested. Ms. Fong glanced at him and exchanged a few words. But she did not mention that Ms. Zhang had been here. Eldest uncle rubbed his hands. How can a nice family become like this? Poor children, Ms. Zhang is so confused. Ms. Fong laughed. True. Eldest uncle thought of Ms. Zhang's family and was even more confused. I don't think her family is able to offer this much money. Ms. Fong replied. Then we will see if they love this daughter of theirs. Eldest uncle sighed and went to check how it was going on at the second section of the family. He even asked Ms. Fong to go with him, but she promptly turned that offer down. She was not interested at all. By the evening, Ms. Zhang returned with Xiao Erlang in distress. She was empty-handed. The parents of hers would never be so simple-minded. When they taught their 3 daughters to help their youngest brother, Ms. Zhang got scolded thoroughly when she asked them for 3 liang. They had no money to offer. Even Xiao Erlang was scolded by his in-laws. They kept saying that their only son was precious and their grandson was going to be born. As the daughter of the family, she should offer a hand too. They would never give the money back. What was the Xiao family thinking? As they returned home, eldest uncle was still at the residence of the second section of the family. Ms. Niu understood clearly what happened, judging from how Ms. Zhang and Xiao Erlang looked. Her face sank and she asked them with clenched teeth. Where is the money? Nothing was returned. Ms. Niu got so annoyed as she was reminded of the money Ms. Zhang stole. She pointed at Ms. Zhang and said, What are you doing here since you can't get the money? Did they not accept your request? It seems that they don't like you either. Ms. Zhang covered her face with her hands, begging, Mom, please, I don't dare to do that ever again. Ms. Zhang had never expected that Ms. Niu would get so angry this time. She felt kind of regretful. But how her parents and brother reacted disheartened her as well. Yet she was more scared right now, fearing that Ms. Niu would really drive her out. What are you crying for? Ms. Niu shouted and pushed Ms. Zhang out of the house. Just get out of here. Go back to your own home. I am not joking with you. Xiao Erlang could not stand it anymore and defended his wife. Mom, please. Just shut up. Ms. Niu snapped angrily. We can't have a thief at home. Your brother and Myling are about to find a marriage soon. And the dowry and wedding gifts are not yet settled. She stole our money and you are still defending her. Chaos arose in the family. Eldest uncle rushed back home and told Ms. Fong. Loan 5 liang to my brother's family. They will return it soon. It has something to do with Xilang and Myling. We are not joking here. Please loan the money to them. Ms. Niu cursed at Ms. Zhang and Xiao Erlang. Then she started to cry about how difficult it was to establish the marriage for the 2 children. Second uncle was helping along too. In this way, the eldest uncle got involved. Ms. Fong laughed. Of course no one is joking. So, did Ms. Zhang not get any money from her family? Eldest uncle frowned. You know pretty well what they are like. Yes. Ms. Fong sneered. The Zhang family are shameless daodli. And they've deserved to get nothing. We are good people and hence, we are cleaning up for them, is it? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 295. Ms. Niu's twisted face. Ms. Zhang stole her own mother-in-law's money. Why should I make it up for them? You elder uncle frowned. But Xiling and Miling are innocent, and we should understand what is more important. Ms. Fong had already predicted how her husband would defend his brothers, but she still felt quite heartbroken upon hearing this. He was clueless. He kept saying that he needed to protect his brothers and their families, but none of them respected him as the eldest in the family. Xiling and Miling were innocent, true, so they should go to those who caused them trouble, not to others. But Ms. Fong was too lazy to explain it properly to her husband. Her husband had no sway in the family, because she was the one who made the decisions, not him. Ms. Fong said, I don't have any money. We have nothing? Eldest uncle did not believe her. He sighed emotionally. Don't worry, they will definitely pay us back. They are just a little tight in hand right now, and they need to establish marriages for their children soon. You all work for Ms. Chiao. Everyone is paid, right? Ms. Fong nodded and said calmly, True, but Yunduan needs to visit the college every month and he needs money too. He has it all. Elder uncle gasped, asking in disbelief. Really? He did not quite believe what Ms. Fong said. But Ms. Fong did not care if he believed her. She had the final say. Yes, yes. Eldest uncle fell silent. Ms. Fong sneered. Well, I think that they can go to the Zhang family themselves. What are they afraid of? Ms. Zhang needs to be taught a lesson anyway. Otherwise she will make the same mistake again and again. That is not acceptable. They can either keep their faces or their money. Eldest uncle felt distressed and walked to the second section of the family. Ms. Niu and second uncle got very disappointed when they saw that he had no money with him. Eldest brother was the master of the family. But he had no say about a thing. They did not need to bother with him anymore, since he was so weak. Ms. Niu could not stand it anymore and asked, Ms. Chiao has no money either? I believe that she just wants to keep the money for herself. Eldest uncle did not know how to respond. He also believed that Xiao Xian had money. Look at the watermelons she had sold. But she was not going to loan them any. Moreover, they still owed her a lot of money for his third son's wedding, and he could not possibly force her to give out a loan again. Worse, she wasn't that obedient either. Ms. Niu snorted and pushed Ms. Zhang out of the yard. Just get out of here. Now. Ms. Zhang burst into tears again. She begged and cried for help. Eldest uncle felt so ashamed. When the chaos arose here, Ms. Fong came over and asked eldest uncle to come back for dinner. Ms. Fong smiled and whispered to Ms. Niu, whose face changed immediately. Ms. Fong glanced at eldest uncle. Are you coming back? Else you can stay at your brother's home for dinner, and we will eat by ourselves. Ms. Niu suddenly urged him. Eldest brother, go home for dinner. She was not going to keep him over for dinner. Eldest uncle felt so distressed but did not dare say a thing. So he left with Ms. Fong. Hearing what Ms. Niu said, Ms. Fong felt quite happy. She was going to see how much longer he was going to tolerate it and be like this. Chapter 296. Saddened, Ms. Niu thought for one whole night before deciding to go and get the money back herself. She must get the 5 liang back. Therefore early next morning, Ms. Niu, second uncle, Xiao Erlang and Xiao Xiling headed straight to the Zhang family and started to rummage through their home, until they eventually found 5 liang. The Zhang family had been living a very rich life after getting so much from the daughters' husbands. The money Ms. Zhang brought home was still untouched. Ms. Niu recognized her money immediately. With money in hands, the second section of the family felt really satisfied. That son of the Zhang family was just a stupid and timid person, who retreated and hid in a corner. The old lady and her husband cried, but Ms. Niu sneered. Ms. Zhang stole the money from my room, and it is right for me to take it back. Stop crying. One more theft, and Ms. Zhang is out of my family. You should never cause her any more trouble in the future. Feeling proud, Ms. Niu dashed off and left with her family. Ms. Zhang had no idea what they did behind her back. Ms. Niu was really relieved and showed off the money in front of Ms. Zhang as soon as she returned home. Ms. Zhang was shocked. She snapped. How can you do that, Mom? Ms. Niu sneered. I can definitely do it. You stole my money. Also, if you dare to do this one more time, I will go to the Zhang family directly. Pale, Ms. Zhang staggered in distress. She started to cry in sadness. Her mother-in-law was behaving way over the top. What would her brother do? He was going to have a baby soon. Ms. Zhang felt so annoyed. Ms. Niu snorted and felt relieved. She was in a good mood and did not want to pester her anymore. Hearing the whole story, Ms. Feng told her husband. See, that was such a simple thing to do to resolve the matter. Eldest uncle was shocked. He had not expected that Ms. Feng had offered such an idea to Ms. Niu. How could you do that? Ms. Feng smiled. Why not? Ms. Zhang steals and your brother and his wife should get back what belongs to them. What is wrong with that? Oh, should I make it up for their sake? Honestly, let me tell you, I am totally fed up with how I have been living with you guys during the past few years. I don't have money, but even if I do, I will not share anything with them in the future. You can move and go live with them if you want to. Our children are all grown up and Chi and Tao Tao have their brothers and their wives to help when they need a wedding. It doesn't matter if you are here or not. Also, in this way, you can work for your brothers devotedly, and we won't drag you down. That sounds perfect, doesn't it? Ms. Feng had no intention of getting involved with what happened to the second section of the family, because it had nothing to do with her. Every family had their own affairs. But they kept pestering her again and again. Ms. Zhang made the mistake, but she was being forced to make up for it. That was never going to happen again. Ms. Niu and her husband were cunning and kept coaxing her husband. Chapter 297. Cutting the hope. That was why she came up with this bad idea. Anyways, she just gave a suggestion, and Ms. Niu could make her own decision. Eldest uncle got so stuck that he could not utter any sound. After a few moments, he said in a shivering voice, "What are you talking about?" Ms. Feng smiled, yet the smile was cold. "I am just telling the truth, which has been inside my head for decades. I have spilled it all now. You don't get ruffled. You can do whatever you want in the future, but don't get the rest of the family involved in it." Ms. Feng did not want to argue with him anymore. She left the place calmly. She let out a sigh of relief as she reached the gate. She was feeling unexpectedly cheerful and relaxed. She did not care about what had happened in the past anymore. She had gone over all the misery she used to suffer. Now she had sons, daughter-in-laws, and money. If someone forced her to do something anymore, the whole family would no longer need to stay together. She had hoped that her husband would change, despite seeing that he was stubborn for so long. But now she was losing hope and decided to let him do whatever he wanted. She was so shocked when she saw Ms. Zhang kneeling down in front of her, begging her for money the previous day. That was so horrifying. The second section of the family would get more and more greedy in the future. It was all because her husband, who was the eldest brother, believed that he had the responsibility of taking care of them. But Ms. Zhang was not in the same generation as they were. Then, how could she be so shameless to come to her with this request? Was her husband going to take care of his own brothers as well as their children? Ms. Zhang dared to do so only because she had learned that from her in-laws. She also believed that the first section of the family should take care of everyone from the second section of the family. She had not lived a smooth life for decades, and could forget what happened in the past. But she was never going to allow such things to happen to her children. She had to cut off the tendency right here and now. It was good that her children were all nice people. After Ms. Qiao married her son, the whole family started to get better. Her husband did not dare to make Ms. Qiao do whatever he wanted. After all, she was from a noble family. When her husband could not make Ms. Qiao do what he wanted, then he would not be able to make the others do whatever he wanted. Ms. Feng felt refreshed in her mind. Ms. Qiao was their lucky star. After hearing the truth, Ms. Zhang staggered back to her home, wanting to console her parents and make an explanation. However, her mother, who was feeling so regretful about the money, snapped at Ms. Zhang. "Do you have any money with you?" Ms. Zhang got startled and said in a small voice, No, I don't." "Then get out of here," she barked. "You are useless. I raised you because I wanted you to help us. We don't need such a useless person like you here." Ms. Zhang cried. Yet she did not have the chance to defend herself, before getting driven out by her mother. Ms. Zhang had no choice but to cry all the way back home. She thought for a while, and rushed to the first section of the Zhou family. Eldest aunt, it was you who told my mother-in-law to steal the money from my home, right? How could you do that? Ms. Fong sneered. Was that your mother's money? I told your mother-in-law to get back what belonged to her. That is not stealing. You have to make a clear distinction between right and wrong. Chapter 298. Treatment. Ms. Zhang cried pitifully. My brother's wife is going to give birth soon. How can we support the baby without money? My family isn't as rich as your family, and I did that because I had no choice. How could you not understand my difficulty? Every family has problems. Work hard and you will get it through. Why doesn't your brother work? Your husband's family have to support your family. Ms. Zhang, you are so stupid. Anyways, that is not my business. You can do whatever you want. Why did you get us involved? I won't let that happen. Just tell your in-laws to stop fooling your eldest uncle. Your eldest uncle doesn't have the decision-making authority in this house. You might as well work hard to earn money instead. Ms. Zhang could not understand it. She cried but did not dare to hate Ms. Niu. So she started to blame Ms. Fong and the first section for what she did. She hated them so much. She hated it when Ms. Fong gave Ms. Niu the bad idea. Her brother had been physically weak since he was young, and he had never worked before. He would die if he was asked to work. What if he got sick and hurt his body? He was the only son of the Zhang family, and he should be completely fine all the time. His sisters ought to take care of him. Also, she knew that Ms. Niu had much more than 5 liang. She had given birth to 2 children for the Zhou family. Why couldn't she get some bonus? How could they treat her like this? The son's wedding gifts and the daughter's dowry could just cancel each other out. When Ms. Zhang left, she ran into Qiao Xian and Tao Tao, who had just picked the wolfberry sprouts and 2 yams and brought them home. She sneered with hostility in her tone. You are so lucky, 5th sister-in-law. You are loved because you have money, and you don't need to do anything. Qiao Xian became annoyed. What was she talking about? I did not irritate you. Also, it is you who caused all the problems, isn't it? She had no plans to start an argument with Ms. Zhang regarding this boring topic. So she went away with Tao Tao. Ms. Zhang felt even worse and glared at her. The day was finally getting hotter. The blue sky was clear, the air was so clean that there was no dust flying, and all the plants and trees seemed to be fresher, greener and vibrant. Qiao Xian spared some time to visit the floral field, and used her superpower to make the flowers and plants grow even more vividly. The flowers would soon bloom in a couple of days. Then they could continue with the making of lipsticks. After a few days, Xiao Yinduan was going to Minghua College, and Qiao Xian wanted to follow along to the town. She was going to sell the remaining filtered honey to Manager Qin, before heading to the agent to buy some more fields at the Zhang village to plant tea leaves trees. Xiao Yinduan agreed. After breakfast, they rented a bullock cart and headed out. Xiao Sanlang smiled. 5th brother, I would like to go into the town with Xiaoyi. Should we go together? Young Xiaoni looked excited and hopeful. Her eyes were sparkling as she looked at Qiao Xian. 5th sister-in-law, I have never been to the town. I would like to go and have a look at it. Chapter 299. Random talk. Xiao Xiaoqi and Tao Tao also came there and stood. Both of them had been to the town numerous times, but it was bustling there, and they would like to visit again. Qiao Xian smiled at Xiao Yinduan. What about all of us going there? Before Xiao Yinduan could respond, everybody cheered. Okay, let everyone head there. Great. We promise not to run around. Also, we can talk on the way there to keep everyone entertained. Brother Sanlang, I want to buy some good food to eat. Xiao Yinduan smiled helplessly. Okay, let's go. Qiao Xian whispered to him. We should go separately later. We have to visit Zhang village and check out our place. Xiao Yinduan nodded. Okay. They had just stepped out when Ms. Zhang came over after finishing the laundry by the riverside. Although what happened the day before disgusted everyone, and they all pretended not to see her, someone said, 2nd sister-in-law. Ms. Zhang showed a sneering look. Is everyone heading to town? Rich people. I wonder how much longer can fifth sister-in-law's dowry last. It basically meant that the first section of the family was using Qiao Xian's dowry and spending her money. Worse, Qiao Xian was cheering them on like a stupid person. Having said the words, Ms. Zhang stood still. Xiao Sanling could not help but respond. Second sister-in-law, you are wrong. We are not using fifth sister-in-law's dowry. Yang Xiaoni pursed her lips and supported her husband. True, Xiao Yunduan added. Where did you get this idea from? You better not talk like this without evidence. Ms. Zhang sneered. Xiao Xian smiled and felt helpless. Actually, I don't understand why there are always people who consider me to be a stupid person and worry about my dowry all the time. It doesn't have to be like this. Ms. Zhang felt stuffy in her chest and could not give any response. She felt a bit dumb. Seeing the 2 jars on the cart, she suddenly asked, "What is this?" She reached out to pick up the lid. No one had expected that she would be like this. They were all startled and failed to stop her. Ms. Zhang removed the lid and felt the scent of sweetness coming to her nose. She could not help but swallow down her saliva. Her eyes widened. This is honey. Ms. Zhang could not hide her happiness. Where did you get all this honey? Xiao Sanling was the one who responded. Found in the mountains. They were heading into the town with honey. So Ms. Zhang said, you are selling it in the town. All of them had a weird expression on her face. Why had they not stopped Ms. Zhang earlier? Qiao Xian nodded and said openly, yes, it can get us a lot of money when sold in the clinic. Ms. Zhang's teeth clenched and she glared at Qiao Xian. Xiao Yunduan defended Qiao Xian and said politely, anything else you want to say? If not, we are leaving. Ms. Zhang snorted and said nothing more. Xiao Sanling continued walking towards the cart. Second sister-in-law will definitely tell second uncle and second aunt. What should we do now? Xiao Taotao felt quite worried. They exchanged a look among themselves and felt the same. Qiao Xian chuckled. Doesn't matter. Actually, they will sooner or later know about what is going on with our family. But so what? What can they do about? Chapter 300. In town they were all startled. But Xiao Yunduan smiled. Yes. We are earning money, not stealing or robbing anyone, so we don't have to be afraid of our secret getting revealed. Qiao Xian nodded. Very true. She was just worried about the Qiao family, not the Xiao family. They had kept it a secret only because they wanted to avoid some unnecessary trouble. If it was known, it would not matter either. Xiao Sanlang and the others felt assured and nodded. Soon, they started to talk cheerfully as well. Xiao Yunduan accompanied them to Mingrantang, said a few words, and then headed to Minghua College. Qiao Xian sold the honey to manager Qin at the price as before, 71 for half a kilo, and they received 4 to 5 qian for the 30 kilos. They were given 9 qian respectively, excluding Qiao Xian. Ms. Fong had told them that they did not need to hand in this little money anymore, and they could keep it. This was not a small amount, and they were all excited as they headed towards the street for shopping. We have decided to buy some snacks, what do you think? Xiao Sanling was actually trying to drive away Qiao Xian and the other 2 followers. He wanted to spend the time alone with his wife, so that they could go shopping for food. Qiao Xian nodded and decided to quit as the third wheel. She said, we will buy some garments. You both can look around. The couple had been waiting for this sentence to come and added, Okay. We can go shopping separately and gather here for lunch. What do you think? What about finding a good restaurant to eat in? The 3 of them nodded. Xiao Sanling told Xiao Xiaoqi to take good care of Tao Tao and fifth sister-in-law. We will buy some meat for tonight and tomorrow. You don't need to buy any. Xiao Xian volunteered to become the chef for tonight. She added, then buy a piece of pork belly, a pork rib, and 2 elbows. Last time, some rice noodles were left. Half of the pork belly would be made into double-cooked pork, the other half would be steamed, the elbow would be cooked into sweet and sour, and the rest would be served with the spare ribs. The remaining stuff can be eaten tomorrow. Xiao Sanlang and the couple could not help but drool. Okay, let's do as fifth sister-in-law says. Then, the 2 teams went their separate ways as per their own shopping plan. Before lunch, they gathered at Mingrantang with many shopping bags. Xiao Xian even got some pastries for Ming Rentang and the two page boys to eat so they could place their stuff there for the time being. Manager Qin did not reject them. He received them passionately. The five of them went into the restaurant for lunch. Xiao Yunduan was still at the college and did not join them. Yang Xiaoni was at a restaurant for the first time, and she was very excited about it. She believed that the dishes at the restaurant would be very tasty, but Xiao Xian could make equally good ones. After lunch they went back to Ming Rentang and waited. Xiao Yunduan came over and went away with Xiao Xian. It was very easy to buy mountain fields. The agent took them to the Zhang village and spoke with the land officer about it, and the deal was done quickly. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan did not show up in person, but let the agent speak with the land officer, telling him that it was some relatives who were buying. The agent did not figure out why he was supposed to say that, but his mouth remained sealed. He didn't ask about anything even though he was curious. He just cared about the money. Chapter 301. Tea leaves site also, the agent knew them well, and he knew that they always wanted to stay low profile. The whole thing was settled very fast. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian bought 2 connected mountains, totaling 500 mu. They spent 2033 liang, including all the fees. In this transaction, they had spent half of the earnings gained from Yuezhengshao and Xiejingrong. Now, they had only 2,300 liang left. Xiao Xian was very satisfied with the land contracts in her hand. She was a young landowner with so many fields in hands. When she built the gardens and filled in some staff, she would have a firm foundation. Honestly speaking, since golden sprouts and lavender were such precious tea leaves, Xiao Xian would not dare to plant them but for Yuezhengshao and Xiejingrong's existence. Otherwise, the plants would be stolen and attract trouble. Money was always very attractive, and profits in this deal would be far and beyond. People might get really greedy for what they could possibly gain. However, right now they felt well protected. The agent handled the whole thing well. He claimed that a relative was here checking out the locations, and decided to buy some land to plant tea leaves and herbs. The land officer of the Zhang village did not suspect a thing. Even if they realized that Xiao Xian owned the land, it was fine. They could just say that they were hired. By the time they were capable enough, the land officer would very much want them to stay and get their villagers hired as the labor. They barely had time to visit Ding Erzhu and Ms. Zhou after they finished with the business. Hence, they stayed over for just a short while. They understood that the couple was doing very well. Xiao Xian liked the Zhou family. She was going to ask the Zhou family for help when the tea garden was set up. If she established a friendship with the Zhou family, she would automatically become friends with Ding Xiang after she made it big in the future. Xiao Xian wondered how Ding Xiang felt when she left. Was she holding a grudge against her parents? Maybe yes, but when she returned, she might still take care of them. They were weak, but they had already been punished. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan returned to the town and joined the others, before going back home together. As they went back home, the sun was already going down, and it would soon be dinner time. The summer was coming and the day was longer. It was still bright when they started to eat dinner. The second section of the family heard about Ms. Zhang's narration regarding the honey. Second uncle and Ms. Niu were very annoyed, and complained about the first section of the family for doing business alone. It must have been Xiao Xiaoqi who took the whole family to find honey. They should have asked the second section of the family to tag along, since they knew that they were running out of money. The second section of the family could earn some money as well. The honey could be sold at dozens of one for half a kilo. Second section of the family came to eldest uncle about the matter, though they had intended to ignore him earlier. Eldest uncle knew that Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Xian would visit the mountains to get some mushrooms, bamboo and wild animals. But he did not know about the honey. So when second uncle talked about this, he was startled as well. He also agreed that she should have taken the other sections of the family along with him. Chapter 302. Waiting, he intended to ask Ms. Fong about this, but as he thought of how Ms. Fong might react, he hesitated. Actually, he did not dare to. He could almost predict that no matter whether Ms. Fong knew about it or not, she would behave the same. He decided to wait until his son and the others returned from the town. However, Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan did their own business at the Zhang village, so they did not return until the evening. They were all talking about what to eat for dinner, and decided to make dinner as they came home. Ms. Niu and the others were all waiting for them. The moment they put down their things, second uncle and Ms. Niu came over. Did you all go sell the honey? Where is the money? Ms. Niu asked in such a hurry as if they should share the money with her. She had spotted a wife for her son. She was from a good family who sold tofu. Ms. Niu was very satisfied with her, but they required a lot of wedding gifts. Before Xiao Xian answered, Ms. Fong snapped. That has nothing to do with you. Elder sister-in-law, it is your fault. You know that we are running short of money. Why did your family not take us along to make some money too? Xiao Xian blinked and said innocently, it is because we want to make money ourselves. We are of course not going to take anyone else with us. Ms. Niu and second uncle. Eldest uncle frowned. You. Ms. Qiao. Ms. Fong immediately said, okay Ms. Qiao Duan, you are both tired, just go back to your room and don't worry about anything that is unrelated to you. They nodded when they heard her speak. Ms. Fong looked at the second section of the family and said coldly, do you not understand what I have been saying all this while? Never mind, I can repeat it a few times. You are not getting any money from us, nor can you get a loan from us. You can come and steal the money, but if you are caught, I will report you all to the governmental office. Don't you ever forget who my daughter-in-law's father is. Second uncle shivered in anger. Eldest brother, why don't you say something? Eldest sister-in-law, are you cutting us off? Ms. Fong said calmly, if you want to do that, I am willing as well. Ms. Niu responded angrily, eldest sister-in-law, you are cutting us off. Ms. Fong answered, oh, I am done with what I need to say, you can continue to talk. I am off. Ms. Fong turned around and left. Eldest uncle called her, but she pretended not to hear. Second uncle got so furious as he snapped at eldest uncle. Eldest brother, you are the master of the family. What did our parents say when they passed away? You are living a good life now, but you are throwing us away? We can leave the rest alone, but Xiling needs to get married. The Yen family said that we need to give 20 liang as wedding gifts, or the marriage will not work. Are you so cruel as not to care about this? You offered 20 liang to the Yang family. The Yen family is definitely better than them, right? We need to hold our reputation high and not let Xiling get humiliated. Eldest uncle felt so annoyed. Don't worry, second brother, I will talk with your elder sister-in-law about this. We must help Xiling. Only then did second uncle and Ms. Niu drop the topic. But they continued to spill out their bitterness and misery, forcing eldest uncle to offer them the money. If the first section of the family gave out the money, that would be great. The moment they left, eldest uncle turned to find Ms. Fong. Chapter 303. Business. But Ms. Fong did not care about eldest uncle's request, now that she had decided to leave the other sections of the family alone. No matter what he said, Ms. Fong did not agree to any of it. Eldest uncle got so irritated that he did not even come out of the room to have dinner. Everyone was quite surprised. Ms. Fong did not care and said coldly, don't worry about him. He can starve for all he wants. He would not die after not eating a few meals. The whole family was speechless, but they said nothing when Ms. Fong put it forward so bluntly and firmly. Eldest uncle was really sad. He spent the whole night in misery but did not dare to meet his brother and his wife. He felt sorry about not living up to his parents' expectations. Second uncle and Ms. Niu were very disappointed. They didn't earn much by the sale of honey. You think about the wedding gifts, and tell me if you need anything. Second uncle sneered. What is the point of telling you? Ms. Zhang added as she was listening. Eldest uncle, I saw that they had a lot of honey. They would have easily sold it for 20 liang. Eldest uncle gasped and mumbled. He could not get the money even if there was. He could not force Ms. Fong to give him any. Ivis. Lunang Rukner said. You ask aunt was not 11 ku rmsteror. Until sister-in-law came to your family. Everything has changed. She was born in a noble family and she is very calculative. Ms. Zhang pushed all the grudges to the first section of the family, especially Qiao Xian, who had 26 sets of dowry. Ms. Niu threw a very satisfied look at Ms. Zhang and nodded in agreement. Eldest uncle felt uncomfortable as well. He was not very satisfied with Qiao Xian either. But there was nothing he could do about it. It was out of his reach. When eldest uncle left, Ms. Niu and second uncle complained more amongst themselves. They are getting so stingy. No wonder they say that money makes people stingy. It is all Ms. Qiao's fault. Yes. They keep saying that we are a family, and then behave like this. We should cut them off as well. But what should be done about the wedding gifts? Second uncle drove Ms. Zhang away when they started to talk about money. He asked Ms. Niu, honestly speaking, will we be able to afford the 20 liang wedding gifts? Ms. Zhang did not go away immediately. Instead, she stood eavesdropping outside the door. Hearing that, she covered her mouth tightly to stop herself from screaming. 20 liang? She got irritated. She had only received 6 liang as a wedding gift. Why should they offer the Yin family 20 liang? That was totally unfair. She was not worse than the girl from the Yin family. She had given birth to the grandchildren of the family. She had been working so hard for the second section of the family, but they treated her like this. She only stole 5 liang from her own family, and her mother-in-law wanted to get it back in such a humiliating manner. Now they were planning to give the Yin family 20 liang as a wedding gift. Also, Yang Xiani's family received 20 liang as the wedding gift as well. She had been treated the worst. Ms. Zhang could not hear what more Ms. Niu and second uncle talked about. She felt so irritated. Annoyed, she went out and ran into Ms. Su. She decided to hold on to her. Chapter 304. Ms. Zhang's Estrangement. We are both daughters-in-law, and we are suffering from misery. Also, our in-laws prefer someone else. Just think about this. When you got married, you received only 6 liang as a wedding gift, and Yang Xiaoni was paid 20. That is so unfair. You are the eldest daughter-in-law of the family. How can you be treated like this? Ms. Su was startled and her face changed. Although she had been focusing on her own family, she was never on the top. She never thought about this, but for Ms. Zhang's mention of the matter. Seeing her expression, Ms. Zhang felt quite proud and said some more things before she left. But soon Ms. Su brought herself back. She was not quite happy about where she was now, but that was nothing. Yang Xiaoni was not in the same position as she had been at her natal house. Her mother-in-law was forced to spend so much money on the wedding gift, not because she volunteered to do so. Most importantly, she had enough of her own savings now. She had counted it recently. Much to her delight, she had saved more than 100 liang, which belonged to herself alone. Also, she was going to get some more soon. In hindsight, the wedding gifts worth 20 liang were nothing. Also, Yang Xiaoni was a nice person. She seemed quite honest and innocent. She liked her. Ms. Zhang told her this matter deliberately because she must be planning something bad. On the other side, Ms. Zhang was still feeling quite annoyed about the Yin family receiving 20 liang as the wedding gift, even though she had managed to provoke Ms. Su. The more she thought about this, the more distressed she became. She even spent the whole night crying. She wished that the wedding could be cancelled. But Ms. Niu already found a matchmaker who could help with the wedding. In the end, the amount for the wedding gifts was still high. Ms. Zhang was really annoyed. They took the money from the shared savings. Ms. Niu was not happy about the money, but she was satisfied about the marriage with the Yen family. And the Yen family said that the dowry would be 8 liang, so she agreed. But Ms. Niu kept complaining about the first section of the family. They've had caused all of this. The first section of the family spent 20 liang on the wedding gift for Yang Xiaoni, and that became known to the Yen family, who kept saying that they needed 20 liang as well, since their daughter was not worse than Yang Xiaoni. Ms. Niu kept negotiating and the Yen family cut the wedding gift to 15 liang finally. Ms. Niu had no choice but to nod in agreement. Seeing that the whole thing was settled, Ms. Zhang got so annoyed that she wished that Ms. Su would make some fuss. But nothing happened. She kept saying that Ms. Su was useless. Xiao Siling's marriage was finally settled. The wedding was expected to be held at the new year. Ms. Niu felt very relieved. She went to the first section of the family and showed off. She told Ms. Fong implicitly that they could still get Siling a good suitor without their help. Same went for Miling. Ms. Fong responded to her calmly. That is good, you have abundant money and the Yen family have a lot of wealth too, good marriage. Ms. Niu snorted. Of course it is good. Ms. Fong was not as narrow-minded as they were. She would not want the other sections of the family to live miserably, as long as they did not come to her for trouble. Soon, Yuezhing Xiao's men came to fetch the watermelons. Due to the constant rain, the watermelons went bad and the taste was not as good as before. Xiao Xian reduced the price and charged only 40 liang for both wagons. Chapter 305. To province if audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 305. To province Yuezhing Xiao even sent a letter, telling them how well the lipsticks were selling, asking her how much longer it would be before the next lot of lipsticks was available. He wanted to get as many as he could. Xiao Xian wasn't surprised about the popularly sold lipsticks. She asked Xiao Yunduan to write a letter back to Yuezhing Xiao, telling him that after 20 days or so, they could come to fetch the lipsticks again, which should be around 500 or 600 in total. She further asked him to mention that the tea mountains had been found, and the leaves should be transplanted by the end of this year, around New Year. In autumn next year or so, they would get some amount of tea leaves to be given to him, but he still needed to find a proper processor. Xiao Xian smiled. We will definitely have some amount of tea next year, and the tea trees in the mountains should not be touched, but we can pick some when we go to the mountains next. She had her superpower, and could make sure the tea trees lived on after being moved. But the trees had been in the mountains for so many years _d, they didn't need to transplant them. They were born and grew in the mountains, and they might produce better quality leaves there itself. Xiao Yunduan agreed and smiled. Okay, that is good. Should I tell him about the mushrooms? The shiitakes and wooden ears had started to grow very fast. There were not many snow fungus but were still growing vividly. There were not many wild growing snow fungus, and Xiao Xian decided not to find any more. She decided to breed some on her own for the moment. She smiled. You can remind him that the purchase should be done by the end of this year. She further added, we would need some more laborers to work on our tea mountains. Uncle Zhou and the Zhou family might not be enough. What about getting some more staff? Xiao Yunduan thought. I don't think we can find any suitable ones in the town. The town was so small and very few laborers were available. The rich families only hired contractors. In big towns, there were endless business people and rich families who required such staff. There was almost no department to recruit such staff. Some people were working part-time, who worked on occasions. She decided to get someone from the province and pay the middleman. More importantly, Xiao Yunduan also hoped that their purchase of staff would not be revealed to the Qiao family. So that was another trouble. Not everyone had a tight mouth. Xiao Xian agreed. The town was too small to meet every need. Oh man, she had become so arrogant as to not like the town anymore. Suddenly, Xiao Xian smiled. Darling, what about we travel to the province? You can tell young Master Yuezhing that when he sends someone to fetch the lipsticks, we would like to tag along. It must be bustling in the province and many more things are available there. Let's see if we can get some appropriate laborers ourselves. You can buy some books as well and visit the famous colleges in the province and exchange opinions with them. Sounds good? Xiao Yunduan was startled. But after a moment, he was quite motivated. He also sensed that those people at Minghua College were not on the same level as he was. But the province was different. There were always better people outside. Maybe the trip would help him become better? Darling, let's just go there. Xiao Xian tugged his arms and coaxed him happily. You are going there in the future to attend the examination, and we can visit the place first to check it out. Announcement. We are moving box novel. Come to Bro Novel. Come. Please bookmark our new site. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 306. Lipsticks again. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 306. Lipsticks again. Xiao Yunduan flushed as he felt her tugging. He got a bit absent-minded but did not dare to show his reaction. fearing that he would cause embarrassment. He tried to suppress his facial expression. After a moment he could not help but smile. Xiao Yunduan simply could not turn down any of her requests, especially when she was smiling at him like this. He intended to say that he would think about it, but soon he changed his mind and answered, "Okay, we can go there." "Okay." Xiao Xian was delighted. Young Master Yuezhing and Young Master Xie must know a lot about the province, and we don't need to worry about troubling them. We can ask them what colleges they know and we can visit the scholars too. That is the most urgent task. Xiao Yunduan felt so moved as he saw that she was considering him above everything else. He smiled gently. "We won't be able to go to the province often, so you can also think about what you need to buy and make a comprehensive list." Xiao Xian smiled and nodded. She also told Xiao Yunduan that maybe they could bring Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao along as well. They should go and visit the outside world too. Most importantly, Xiao Xian had made up her mind to train Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao to become her helpers. She was teaching them how to read and wanted them to go out and have a look at the outside world. Xiao Yunduan did not object. In this way, he could visit the local scholars and colleges at ease, while Xiao Xian would have someone with her when he was gone. "Don't tell the others in the family about it yet. We will inform them when we leave," Xiao Yunduan added. Xiao Xian smiled. Of course. They did not want the news to be spread across the village and cause gossip. Also, Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni would want to join them as well, and that would trouble them a great deal. Xiao Xian believed that they would have a chance to visit the province again, with everyone in the family, including her mother-in-law. But not right now. When the decision was made, Xiao Xian decided to visit the mountains during the next 2 days to see if there were any expensive herbs to take along, as she would pick some Ganodermas from her space, if nothing valuable was found. She decided not to touch what was in the space, in case the magic would disappear. She needed to support the space so that it could upgrade and help her gain some more abilities. The roses were blooming vividly. Red and rosy were the biggest colors with the biggest size. Some pink ones were not so large, but they were many in number. There were some other colors, including apricorn red, orange, purple and light yellow. Xiao Xian asked for the red and rosy ones to be picked, so each one could be put into different bags in case they got mixed. Actually, if they blended the colors, new colors could be produced. But they needed repeated experiments to find the best colors. That would require a lot of time and energy, which was not something Xiao Xian had currently. When she found the time, she would get Xiao Taotao to do that together with her. She planned to get even more abundant colors. After 4 busy days, their work was paused as they waited for another patch of flowers to bloom. Ms. Su and the others were resting at home, whilst Xiao Xian and Qi as well as Taotao went into the mountains. Announcement. We are moving box novel. Come to Bronovel. Come. Please bookmark our new site. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 307. Tagging along as expected, Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni also wanted to tag along. The group had become much bigger than estimated. However, the second section of the family, for some reason, got to know about their trip to the mountain. They came to them and said to Xiao Xiaoqi, "Qi, you can take your cousins to the mountains as well? They can be of some help. Miss Qiao, Ms. Yang and Taotao don't have to be with you guys. Women are always creating trouble in the mountains." Xiao Xian. Xiao Zioqi's face sank, and he turned to look at Xiao Xian subconsciously. Ms. Feng also frowned involuntarily. They are just having fun in the mountains, not doing anything. What are your sons tagging along for? Eldest sister-in-law, you are so stingy. Why not take my sons to earn some money too? We can find some honey and get some pocket money as well, eldest uncle added. Qi, just take your second brother and fourth brother with you. They can help. Xiao Xiaoqi wasn't pleased after hearing this. He did not want to take them at all. But it looked as if they were going to come along. They would follow them in secret even if they were not taken along. Xiao Xian said, "If you want to tag along, we can go together. But the deal is that we don't promise to get anything. Also, you are older than us, and you need to do some more hard work." Okay then, if anything good comes up, Qi will take the biggest portion, and the rest will be shared among us. Second uncle wasn't pleased after listening to that. Ms. Fong snorted. You don't have to go if you aren't happy about it. Second uncle did not dare to say anything more. All right. Xiao Xian smiled. Let's go. It is getting late. Second uncle added. Miss Xiao, Ms. Yang, what are you doing by tagging along? You can just stay at home. It is not easy to walk in the mountains. Won't you slow them down? The fewer people there were, the bigger the share would be. He even told his sons to concentrate on how to get the honey and grab it, as well as learn how Xiao Xiaoqi got the other things, so that they could go there alone in the future. Before Ms. Fong and Ms. Qiao said anything, Xiao Xiaoqi said unhappily, if the fifth sister-in-law is coming, I will go. If she stays, I stay too. Second uncle. Xiao Xian became cheerful. Qi, you are a good boy. Xiao Xiaoqi smiled bashfully after hearing the compliments. Second uncle got annoyed. What are you saying? Xiao Xiaoqi turned his head. You heard what I said. Eldest uncle frowned. Qi, don't be so unruly. Ms. Fong chimed in. Forget about the trip today. Qi said, okay. But Xiao Xiling got anxious. Eldest aunt, Qi, don't be angry, let's all go together, alright? Dad, just save your breath. Second uncle. They should not get impulsive and irritate the eldest aunt. In the end, they all headed out. Xiao Yunduan had not planned upon joining them, but seeing what happened, he went along. He needed to protect Xiao Xian. Xiao Xian wanted to try her luck in finding precious medicinal herbs such as Ganoderma lucidum, or China root, or Solomon's seals. She also wanted to see if she could come across some snow fungus, so she decided to visit a new area that she had never been to before. The first section of the family were already used to the path, but Xiao Erlang and Xiao Xiling were not. Chapter 308. Walking around the first section of the family were already used to the path, but Xiao Erlang and Xiao Xiling were not. Especially when there was no proper road, they would need to open the path by themselves. Where are we going? They were rural people who grew up in the mountains, but they barely came to this kind of wild place. So they were not very used to. Xiao Xiaoqi said, we are just walking around. What? Xiao Erlang's eyes opened wide. Aren't we seeking honey? Xiao Xiling nodded as well. Of course not. Xiao Xiaoqi added. We are just taking a walk. What? Xiao Erlang and Xiao Xiling looked at each other and became anxious, especially when they saw how calm the others were. Gee, let's just find some honey. There are so many weeds and vines here, and the road isn't very smooth. Think about your sisters-in-law and sisters. They will trip over or stumble. Young Xiaoni immediately refuted him. Second cousin, don't be silly. We have been here many times and we have never fallen or gotten hurt. Xiao Yunduan. Honey isn't so easy to find, it depends mainly on luck. Xiao Xian said. Yeah, this is what our trip is always like. Darling, look at the mushrooms. Xiao Xian cheered as she pointed at the left side. There were many penny buns there. Those were delicious things, and everyone from the first section of the family looked excited. They got to know quite a lot of varieties of mushrooms, thanks to Xiao Xian. They understood that these penny buns were not only beautiful, but also quite tasty. These were rare things. They were getting precious things early on this day. I will go and pick them. Me too. Qi and Tao Tao went to fetch the mushrooms cheerfully. Xiao Erlang and Xiao Xiling could not help but roll their eyes, thinking that those people were so shallow-sighted. Those were just mushrooms. What were they getting so excited for? Xiao Xiling even added. Brother third and brother fifth, what are you standing here for? We are deep inside a forest and many snakes have climbed over them before. We can't pick these mushrooms. What if they kill us? Stop it, you. Xiao Sanling said unhappily. We like eating mushrooms. Yang Xiaoni added. True, you know nothing. Seeing that none of them supported him, Xiao Xiling snorted and said nothing. It would serve them right if any accident happened. In this way, they walked and stopped, got some mushrooms whilst Xiao Xiaoqi caught 2 wild roosters. Xiao Xian got some nice China roots in the pine forests, but after that they got nothing else. Xiao Erlang and Xiao Xiling got quite anxious. They did not recognize China roots and did not know that it was a good thing. They thought that these were just wild plants like yams, nothing interesting. They were only greedy for honey. Qi, where can we find honey? Take us there. Xiao Xiaoqi felt speechless. How could they find honey so easily? Most of the time, it was the fifth sister-in-law who helped them find it, but he would not say it out loud. He believed that the fifth sister-in-law was thinking the same as he was. She did not want to take them there. It depends on luck. We are looking for it. Xiao Xiaoqi said. Xiao Erlang and Xiao Siling suspected that Xiao Xiaoqi was lying, but they had no proof for that, thus could not counter him. Xiao Xian said, "It will be lunchtime soon, let's take a break and eat something. There is spring water here, and we can continue after eating something first." Chapter 309. Found it. Everyone agreed with what Xiao Xian said. As it is, Xiao Erlang and his brother's opinions did not matter. They could go about themselves, if they were not convinced. Qi, you can divide the work among everyone. There are many yams over there, we can get some and roast one rooster for lunch. Okay, fifth sister-in-law. Hearing that they had one wild rooster to eat for lunch, Xiao Erlang and Xiao Siling were delighted. They had not eaten a wild rooster for ages. They had not gotten much from the first section of the family recently, so they could not counter Xiao Xian when she proposed this. Xiao Erlang said, "I am so tired. What about me roasting the wild rooster, and you can go and find some wood? Brother third, you can do some other work as well." Xiao Xian said straightforwardly, "Second cousin, Qi is familiar with the mountains and it depends on him as to what we should do. We agreed on this, right? Qi should do the roasting and he is really good at it." Everyone from the first section of the family chuckled and nodded in agreement. "You are the best chef here," everyone said so inwardly. But they did not say that out loud. After all, they did not want her to cook for people outside the family. Xiao Xiaoqi said, "Second cousin, I can roast the rooster, and fourth cousin goes to find the wood, whilst you and third brother can find yams over there. I and Tao Tao will wash and peel the rooster." Xiao Erlang could not counter him, but Xiao Siling asked, "What about fifth sister-in-law and fifth brother?" Xiao Xiaoqi replied with confidence, "Fifth brother is cultivated talent, and fifth sister-in-law is a noble lady. They don't need to do anything. Third sister-in-law can help with starting the fire." Young Xiaoni nodded with a smile. "I can do that, no problem." The others agreed. Xiao Sanling and Xiao Erlang went to get the yams while Xiao Siling had no choice but to grab the wood. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yinduan were both on the verge of laughing. Qi was so kind and he made them feel so warm in their hearts. Xiao Xian smiled at Xiao Yinduan. "Let's go and take a look, see what wild fruits there are." Xiao Yinduan followed her into the mountains. "Did you find anything?" Xiao Yinduan asked with a small voice. Startled, Xiao Xian smiled and blinked. "You are smart. I just ran into 2 Ganodermas, so let's go and pick them." "Let's do that." Soon they found the 2 Ganodermas, which were bigger than the palm of a man. The special scent brought their spirit up. The surface was complete, the color was black blended with purple, straight in the stem, looking quite mystic. "How beautiful!" Xiao Xian could not help but praise the 2 pieces. She felt like not giving them away. However, these could not be put into space since Xiao Yinduan already saw it. Then they could be given to Yuezheng Xiao and Xiejingrong respectively. The 2 of them picked up the plants and wrapped them up with gauze as well as a large patch of leaves, putting them carefully into the basket. As for the wild fruits, they saw a few persimmon trees and wild grapes that climbed up the canopy of the tall trees, but they were not yet ripe. They ate something for lunch, took a nap and then got up. They became quite lazy after lunch, and soon they headed back home. Chapter 310. Superpower. In the afternoon, Xiao Xiaoqi got 2 roosters and 3 pigeon-sized grouses, nothing more. Seeing the shadow in the forest became larger, they realized that it was time to go back home. Xiao Erlang and Xiao Siling got quite anxious. They had their eyes widely opened, seeking honey. But honey wasn't so easy to find, even if they made efforts. On their way home, Xiao Xian found a very special-looking orchid in the forest. Orchids grew nicely in the woods. There were patches of such plants everywhere, which were good to decorate the garden, yet worth not that much money. Xiao Xian could tell directly if any special kind was sprouting within. She pretended as if she were picking the mushrooms. She walked over and picked them up. She found a few more of them, and took them all. She placed them in the space without anyone noticing it. Thanks to the superpower, Xiao Xian was not that careful when it came to the dangerous forests. She walked ahead absent-mindedly. Suddenly, she sensed a strong pain on her finger, and saw that she had been bitten by a black, large centipede. Her snowy and skinny fingers became swollen, and she was in a lot of pain. Xiao Xian's face changed. She had not yet done anything when she sensed that some electrical life stream was going into her fingers, as if washing away the dirt. Suddenly, the black blood rushed out and the poison inside her finger went away. A short while later, the swollen part faded away and the pain was suppressed. Only a tiny, narrow red spot of wound was seen, and the stream-like power went all over the body. Xiao Xian looked at her finger in astonishment. She smiled. Good, her superpower knew exactly what it needed to do. How thoughtful. But she wondered if this function of healing could work on others too. Xiao Xian's heart throbbed. She was so excited. She planned to use it on the chicken, ducks, and geese at home first. If it worked, it would be so wonderful. Soon after, she went back, smiling at her husband. Darling, it is getting late. What about going back home? Xiao Yunduan looked at Xiao Xian, wondering if he could figure something different about his wife. Her eyes were sparkling as if she had run into something cheerful. Was it because they had teased their cousins? Xiao Yunduan smiled and found that reasonable. It was the second section of the family who asked for this treatment. Yes, it is getting late, let's go home. Okay, good, let's go home. For dinner. I all nodded in agreement. Xiao Erlang and Xiao Siling were not very convinced, but they understood that it would be very dangerous to wander about when the sunlight went away, so they had to agree in distress. The mushrooms and wild bamboo shoots in the mountains could be seen everywhere. They had enough in their basket on their way home. They had many mushrooms, yams, wild bamboo shoots as well as roots of kudzu vines. Xiao Erlang and Xiao Siling were forced to carry them home too. Chapter 3:11. Not promised. They were not very happy to do the hard work, but if they did not offer help, the first section of the family might leave them halfway. So, they had no choice but to carry the load and walk on. Back at home, they were given one rooster and some yams, nothing more. Xiao Erlang and Xiao Siling were very disappointed. What they wanted was honey. But as they thought about this, they believed that it was because they were not so lucky today. After all, if honey was so easily seen, the first section of the family might have made a fortune already. But thinking that they had a wild rooster for dinner, the two of them still felt quite cheerful when they went home. Chi, are we going tomorrow to find honey? Xiao Erlang and Xiao Siling were still quite interested. Xiao Xiaoqi turned to look at Xiao Xian subconsciously. Xiao Xian blinked at him and nodded slightly. Xiao Xiaoqi smiled. Sure. Xiao Erlang and Xiao Siling were excited again. Xiao Taotao asked, Fifth sister-in-law, are we still taking them to the mountains tomorrow? Xiao Xian smiled. We are not going tomorrow. She can take them. They love having fun in the mountains, right? They were so shameless after being taken care of by eldest uncle all these years. They knew no rules. Those who had the way of getting rich depended on their own abilities. No one would just come and demand a share. Why would those who knew how to make money take someone else along for a free ride? Everyone smiled after hearing that. Xiao Xiaoqi nodded with a smile. Okay. I will give my two cousins a big tour. Xiao Xian smiled and praised him. Xiao Yunduan was going to take the imperial examination, and he needed to keep his reputation intact. Hence, Xiao Xian tried to keep her methods low-profiled when using them upon the other sections of the family. Most of the time, she would make them give up the matter by themselves. Otherwise, they would keep pestering the first section incessantly. The following day, Xiao Xiaoqi took the two cousins into the mountains again. Xiao Erlang and Xiao Siling were both quite cheerful. They believed that when they found the honey, they could get a big portion. Xiao Xiaoqi was just a young boy who was very easy to deal with. Xiao Xiaoqi went into the mountains and traveled around easily. He intended to make them suffer by taking them up into the high mountains, weed-filled forests, so that the two cousins got really tired. They failed to find the honey after one whole day of roaming around. In fact, they ran into some wild bees. Xiao Xiaoqi dashed off, and the two cousins did the same too. By evening, they got very distressed as they came home. But Xiao Xiaoqi was quite motivated and asked, "Are you coming tomorrow?" Xiao Erlang and Xiao Siling looked at each other, not knowing what to say. Still. "Can we find honey tomorrow?" Xiao Xiaoqi burst out in laughter. "I can't promise that." Then they were not going. Xiao Siling asked him in return, "It is so strange. Why can we not find it?" Xiao Xiaoqi pursed his lips. "If it were so easy to find, we would have made a fortune by now." Chapter 312. Purposeful. They had actually already made a fortune because of their fifth sister-in-law's guidance. Moreover, they were going to build a large house by the end of this year. Xiao Erlang and Xiao Siling were mute suddenly. "Just drop it." Xiao Erlang felt a bit scared as he thought of what they had experienced today. "We are not going tomorrow." He was not going there anymore. It was too exhausting. Also, there was no guarantee that they could find the honey anyway. Who had the time to travel about in the mountains? Xiao Xiaoqi smiled inwardly, but showed a very disappointed look on his face. "All right then." Ms. Zhang and Ms. Niu were both very disappointed, as the two of them reached home. Still nothing. Xiao Erlang and Xiao Siling were simply too tired to talk. How can it be so easy? The two of them fell asleep as soon as they reached their place. Ms. Zhang pursed her lips. "I think the first section did it on purpose? How could they find so much honey whilst Erlang and fourth brother found nothing? I saw they had so many jars of honey." Annoyed, Ms. Niu intended to ask Ms. Fong about this, but then she thought of how Ms. Fong would react. Reluctantly, she gave up the idea of confrontation. She might get mocked by Ms. Fong if she went up to argue with her. "That is honey. My sons can go and look for it themselves. They are sure to find MS." Zhang looked down at her mother-in-law, who was too timid to interrogate the first section of the family. She could not stand it any longer. She went to the first section of the family, and finally ran into Qiao Xian and Tao Tao, who had been picking vegetables in the field after she waited for a long while. Ms. Zhang went up and said sarcastically, "Fifth sister-in-law, you must have done that on purpose, right? How can you be so stingy? You know that we don't have much money. Still, you don't want to help us make money. Eldest uncle and eldest aunt were not like this earlier. But since the moment you came here, everything changed. You are trying to estrange us. Aren't you afraid of being blamed by our ancestors?" Xiao Taotao got really annoyed. "Stop it. You can talk with my parents about this, not my fifth sister-in-law." Ms. Zhang became angrier as she sneered. "Taotao, you have become bolder too." Yu Qiaoxian patted her arm and smiled. "Taotao is confident, beautiful and bold, now no one can bully her. Also, whether you have money or not has nothing to do with me, second sister-in-law. Your thinking is wrong. As for the honey, you can go and seek it yourself. That is the same mountain we go to. No one is stopping you. It all depends on luck. We also can't find it every time we are there. As for your accusation that I am creating a rift in the family, why didn't I know that? What about telling me in detail? Is it because we refused to work for you for free and did not offer you free money? Hence you are saying this? You know that it doesn't make any sense, right?" Ms. Zhang shivered and stammered. "You don't lack money. You just don't know how hard it is to be poor. You can help us, why not do it? You talk big, but the truth is that you are so selfish." Qiao Xian felt shocked. Was this what Ms. Zhang was thinking? So were the other sections of the family, right? Chapter 313. Into Province. Qiao Xian said, "It is never easy to make money, and you can't simply have others do everything for you. Let me tell you, we are getting richer, but you are never going to get a penny out of our wealth. Only if you work hard and earn every penny one by one will you have a chance." But if you don't work hard and hope to get everything for free, you will get nothing. Ms. Zhang looked at Zhou Xian with hatred. She did not take in anything Zhou Xian said. It seemed that Ms. Zhang was the most extreme one from the second section of the family. That was so unexpected. Zhou Xian found her annoying, but also pitiful. That was because her parents had taught her something against morality. But this matter had nothing to do with her. It was all her family's business. Before Ms. Zhang could say anything, Zhou Xian left with Xiao Taotao. Xiao Taotao whispered, "Fifth sister-in-law, second sister-in-law looks so scary. How did she become like this? She was not like this before." Xiao Xian shook her head. "I don't know. She only focuses on her brother, and is probably stimulated by what happened last time." Xiao Taotao could not understand it and said, "But she is married now, and even if she wants to help her own family, she can't just steal her mother-in-law's money, right?" Xiao Xian smiled. "She knows nothing. We can't become like her. We should stay away from her." Xiao Taotao understood this point very well. After a few days, Yuezheng Xiao's men came to fetch the last batch of watermelons. The good weather had saved the watermelons. They were large and refined on the surface, with a layer of smoothness. The shell sounded crisp upon knocking. They seemed to be wonderful watermelons. The men from the Yuezheng family were surprised and glad to receive such good watermelons in the last batch. Zhou Xian gave them a dozen more, and the rest were kept at home. She planned to plant some more with the seeds she kept back. Ms. Su intended to take some seeds to her own family, and she approved of it. She could give some spare ones to the others who needed it. Zhou Xian and Xiao Yinduan proposed that they wanted to visit the province. The coachman and page boy of the Yuezheng family nodded without hesitation. They were in a good relationship, and they were welcome anytime. Xiao Xian decided to bring the 600 lipsticks along. And Yuezheng Xiao did not need to send anyone else over to fetch them. She even had hundreds of mint-smelling lip balms ready with her. Xiao Yinduan and Xiao Xian talked with the family about this, seeing that the Yuezheng family had sent their men over to fetch the watermelons. Ms. Fong did not stop them. Her son needed to check the place ahead of time to learn about the imperial examination, so that he could be more prepared. Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao were very happy that they could tag along. Ms. Fong felt even more assured when they had company, so she approved of that proposal too. That is the province. There are so many things over there. I want to visit the place too. Xiao Sanlang felt so jealous and looked at Xiao Yinduan with a look of begging. Young Xiaoni nodded excitedly. She wanted to tag along as well. Before Xiao Yinduan said anything, Ms. Fong hit Xiao Sanlang on his head. Drop this idea. You should stay at home and get the wood. We will be so busy during the harvest season that we won't have time to get enough firewood. You can help us chop more wood. Tao Tao and Ms. Zhou can keep each other company, and Qi can run errands for your fifth brother. You will be superfluous there. Chapter 314. Examination. Xiao Sanlang scratched his head and sadly gave up. They all laughed. Xiao Xiaoqi said, "Don't worry, brother. I will bring a lot of good food to you to only." Then did Xiao Sanlang feel better and said happily, "Don't forget about it. Just buy me as much good food as possible. I will try them all. I will give you money." Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni were so generous now that they had some money. They had already eaten almost everything available in the town. Ms. Fong glared at them upon hearing that. "Hey, you should know how to save money. I know that it's your personal money, but you need to keep some saved for tough times. We have a long way to go. Don't get greedy. You are married now, think about the long term." Xiao Sanlang did not care but mumbled, "We make money because we need to spend it. We can make some more when we don't have any." Ms. Fong snapped, "Didn't you hear what I just told you?" Yes, Mom." Xiao Sanlang got startled and answered almost instinctively. Ms. Fong asked him sternly, "You haven't spent much, right?" Xiao Sanlang felt a bit guilty as he stammered, No. Xiao Xiaoqi, Zhou Xian and Tao Tao exchanged a smiling look amongst themselves. How much Xiao Sanlang and his wife spent was unknown to Ms. Fong and eldest uncle, but the others knew it well. They had easily bought 2 or 3 liang of snacks from the town. Ms. Su was so concerned about their expenditure, and always complained about them spending too much to her husband. Xiao Dalong also found her words reasonable and talked to Xiao Sanling about saving some money. Xiao Sanling nodded, yet still continued with his behavior. Ms. Fong suspected his breezy words. Really? Come here. Ms. Fong pinched Xiao Sanling's ears. Show me your savings. I won't take your money. I have more than you have. I just want to check it. Xiao Sanling and Yang Xiaoni turned pale. You don't have to bother, Mom. Yes, Mom, you don't bother. The more they behaved like this, the more skeptical Ms. Fong was. No. Take me there. Zhou Xian and the others left the place quietly. Something was going to happen soon, and they needed to escape. Sure enough, the couple had to let Ms. Fong check their money and was scolded badly. Ms. Fong ordered them to give her half of what they earned so she could save it for them. Xiao Sanling and Yang Xiaoni did not dare to counter her words. On the day when the men from the Yuezheng family came over, they packed the watermelons and went onto the wagon together. Zhou Xian and the others rented another wagon when they reached the town. Since the wagon had many watermelons on it already, the two wagons went forward together. They could reach the province by the evening, since they started early. They were all excited, including Zhou Xian, who came out for a long-distance trip for the first time. She lifted the drapery and checked around. Everything was so new for her. Most importantly, they had the Yuezheng family with them, and they were completely safe. They stopped for lunch at a restaurant in the town, and soon moved on. Chapter 315. Province Translator. Ilinyi translations. The road was quite smooth, but still the wagons shook, and were not so comfortable. Yet the gang of young people laughed and talked on the way, feeling both satisfied and excited. By the evening, the sun had set and they eventually approached the province. The road became wider and flatter, and more pedestrians and wagons appeared on it. Many wagons looked quite magnificent. These were not something seen in the town. Before they reached the center, they had already sensed how bustling the environment would be. As the wagon finally reached the center, it became even more crowded. Wagons were noisy, and the wide and straight streets were lined with various shops. Everything looked tall and luxurious, dazzling and overwhelming. This is the province. The real, bustling province. Yes, this is what a province is like, much better than the county. Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao could not help but feel amazed. Zhou Xian smiled. Let's find a hotel to stay in. We will have enough time to have. Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao nodded. They were looking forward to it. Xiao Yunduan waved goodbye to the two servants from the Yuezheng family, and told them that they would visit them the next day. The two servants nodded and told them where they should find accommodation, and did not leave until they told the coachman how to reach there. The four of them asked for the best rooms next to each other. Zhou Xian and Xiao Taotao shared one whilst Xiao Yunduan and his brother shared the other. They were keeping each other company when they were traveling outside. They were all quite tired from the day's trip. They did not go out for dinner but remained in the hall of the hotel, and ate some simple food. The province was more than bustling. There were various dishes with high prices. The four of them ordered 4 local special dishes as well as 1 soup, which tasted great. Especially the dish, which consisted of sweet and sour fish. The sweet and sour sauce was very well adjusted, and the taste was moderate, as it was poured on the fish. The white and tender fish was soaked in the juice, the sweet and sour taste was tangy, and it made people feel like devouring it. After dinner, the day fell yet it was still quite lively on the street. The stores on both sides of the streets had lanterns lit up, and the light shone through. Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao had never seen such a busy city under the moon, so they really wanted to have a look around. Xiao Yunduan did not dare to release them. So he said, "We can go back to the room for a break. When we ask more about where we can go, we will explore the place." Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao agreed. However, they had just returned to the room when Yuezheng Xiao came with his 2 servants, namely Chu Shan and Chu Shi. Xiao Yunduan and Zhou Xian were surprised. They felt that they had been given a lot of respect. Yuezheng Xiao really treated them as good friends, otherwise he would not have come over. The 3 of them were seated in the elegant room in the hotel and chatted happily. When Yuezheng Xiao asked Xiao Yunduan their purpose of being here, Xiao Yunduan confessed to him honestly. Brother Xiao, your idea sounds wonderful. You should definitely come over to have a look around. I will ask and see who can be your best communicator, and we'll tell you about it soon. Sounds okay? The Yuezheng family knew a lot about the province, thus could go around very easily. Xiao Yunduan did not turn him down, but smiled with a greeting. That sounds great. Thank you, Brother Yuezheng. Yuezheng Xiao waved his hands. Don't mention it, Brother Xiao. Later, Yuezheng Xiao spoke with the couple about how popular lipsticks were. He was so excited while telling them about it. Chapter 316. Meeting lipsticks had become the absolute favorite of young ladies and madams in the province. They were so proud of being able to get each color. Yuezheng Xiao did not put the lipsticks into the market in bulk, so the ladies and madams were even more eager to buy them. The news had spread to the neighboring cities as well. Some young ladies and madams even asked their housekeepers to stand in queue just to buy them first, or asked their locally residing relatives to purchase some for them. His cosmetic stores were selling many things due to which they had earned a great deal. Yuezheng Xiao had decided to set the price at 5 liang for each. After deducting the cost, he could earn 2 liang for one, which was already enough for him. After all, the lipsticks could be sold out no matter how many there were on the shelf. Due to this single item, the store had earned tens of thousands of liang a month. In addition, the powder, blushers and all helped him earn even more. That was just one small store. But the lipsticks became far more popular than he had expected. So he raised the cost by 2 liang for each, so one lipstick costed 7 liang then onwards. He had intended to raise 5 qian for the ones Zhou Xian brought with her this time. Zhou Xian had brought some new colors on this trip, which interested Yuezheng Xiao even more. Zhou Xian took them out and showed them to him, whilst making an explanation about it. Yuezheng Xiao bought all the lipsticks and lip balms she had with her this time. He could not help but say emotionally, the lipsticks are sold out so easily. Brother Xiao and sister-in-law, give me as many as you can. My elder brother was here a few days ago, and he was interested in the lipsticks as well. If they can be sold outside the province, we will definitely expand our business. I look forward to seeing a big business growing out of this. Xiao Xian was quite glad as well. She exchanged a look with Xiao Yunduan and said gently, of course we will, but not right now. Young Master Yuezheng, thanks for your understanding. Of course I understand. Yuezheng Xiao smiled. We can always wait for big business. Although they did have some stock, he said to the public that the lipsticks were not so easily made, so the production could not be raised. That was why everyone was waiting expectantly. In the province, the Yuezheng family was the top in the business area, so no one dared to set them up, nor was there anyone who dared to suppress them. Also, he was prepared to get Xie Jingrong involved in it, by giving him 20% of the shares. Due to the existence of the young master of the Xie family, no one would dare to touch this business. Soon Yuezheng Xiao waved them goodbye. He told them that he was going to open a huge banquet for them, and they would come with a wagon. Xie Jingrong would be asked to join them, so they could save time instead of going to visit them at the door. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan were both smart people, so they nodded and saw them off politely. When the waiter was cleaning up, Xiao Yunduan gave him 2 qian, and asked him more about the Yuezheng family. Those who worked at the restaurant were always up to date with the gossip. The waiter, who received money and liked talking, started to say it all out. The couple were not surprised to hear that there was chaos in the Yuezheng family, which was noble and big. The waiter might not be telling the entire truth, but the big picture was definitely right. Chapter 317. Unexpected guest. No wonder Yuezheng Xiao told them not to pay a visit to his house. It seemed that the second section of the family was quite tricky too. It would be annoying if they were discovered. The following morning, the 4 of them did not eat breakfast at the hotel, but learned from the waiter that they could find some local snacks on the street. The waiter, who had shared the information and got the bonus from them, felt much closer to them. He answered their questions and acted really passionately. There were all kinds of snacks on the street, and you could see different varieties of food there. There were various kinds of soup noodles, porridge, sugar cakes, rice cakes, plum cakes, steamed buns with various fillings, biscuits, burritos, etc. The 4 people bought a lot of them. Even though the quantity was not much, they were already very full after roaming around one street. It was a bustling place, filled with liveliness and stuff. Zhou Xian paid enough attention, and found that there were no sugar water stores. If she could open some sugar water stores, maybe a chain of them, she could earn a great deal. She could make some simple ones such as kelp and mung bean paste, sour plum soup, jelly pudding, taro ball sago, red bean sago, bean curd, various new fruits and jelly, sago, lily, peanuts, lotus seeds, milk and other combinations. These all had unique tastes. But the sugar water snacks could be copied very easily. If they wanted to do well, they would need to make sure that it tastes well. Also, multiple stores would need to be opened at one go, so that the money could roll in. Otherwise, people would soon copy and take a chunk of their profits. One store would guarantee their livelihood. But Zhou Xian was not satisfied by just opening one store. She bore this idea in her mind and decided to do it in the future. She could do some preparations now. Like she could ask the Yuezheng family to look for the sources of sago. At lunchtime, the wagon from the Yuezheng family came to pick them up. Zhou Xian took along the Ganoderma and China root, which she had brought along as greeting gifts for Yuezheng Xiao and Xiejingrong as well. They did not carry the lipsticks with them because Yuezheng Xiao would come to fetch them later, and they could talk about tea leaves at that time. The Yuezheng family had a restaurant in the city, and it was very lively there. But Yuezheng Xiao did not take them there. Instead, they found a private room at the restaurant, which was quite a famous eatery. He ordered the most popular dishes such as cherry meat, 3 sets of duck, and wensi tofu. When Chu Shan brought the guests over, Yuezheng Xiao and Xiejingrong were already there. They greeted each other politely. Xiao Yinduan gave them the presents, and Yuezheng Xiao and Xiejingrong thanked them and accepted them. Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao had met them before, so they felt much more open despite being a little shy. Yuezheng Xiao and Xiejingrong were very friendly young masters. Xiejingrong looked distant, but Yuezheng Xiao was open-minded. It was a lively lunch hour. They exchanged some thoughts about the local cultures, and Yuezheng Xiao asked the page boy to inform the waiters. But before the dishes could be served, an unexpected guest arrived there. It was Yuezheng Ting and her maid Jiang who walked in. She spotted Xiejingrong and smiled even more brightly. She went up and greeted them politely. Then she turned to Yuezheng Xiao. I was just standing in line for the pastry when I saw your wagon. You are here, third brother. Chapter 318. Thoughts. Yuezheng Ting was Yuezheng Xiao's cousin, the youngest daughter of the second section of the family. The 2 sections of the family were not on good terms with each other. Although Yuezheng Ting was just a girl, Yuezheng Xiao did not think that she knew much. The first section of the family did not have any daughters, and the daughters of the second section of the family were born by his second aunt, Ms. Mi. The 2 girls loved to behave well in front of grandmother, especially Yuezheng Ting, who knew how to make her grandmother happy. Hence, their grandmother liked the second section of the family more and more. Therefore, Yuezheng Xiao tried not to get too close to this cousin of his. He disliked her even more when he discovered that this cousin loved to follow him just to get close to Xiejingrong. It seemed that his grandmother, second aunt and second uncle understood that the girl was not a match for the lineal grandson of the Xie family, so they did not say a thing on the surface. But he did not think that Yuezheng Ting's parents were not aware of what their daughter was planning. They were just pretending not to know or see. They were hoping for a miracle. If Xiejingrong fell for Yuezheng Ting, the whole thing would fall in place naturally. Even if Xiejingrong did not fall for her, Yuezheng Ting's name would not be ruined because she had her cousin as a shield. It was not easy to see if Yuezheng Ting was here on purpose. She sounded harmlessly nice when she claimed that she was here buying things for her grandmother. Yuezheng Xiao could not drive her away, so he smiled. What a coincidence. Have you eaten lunch? You can join us if you haven't. Yuezheng Ting chuckled and smiled with her eyes blinking. Ah well, I was going to go back home for lunch, sorry to trouble you. Yuezheng Xiao smiled and introduced Xiao Yinduan and his family to Yuezheng Ting. Yuezheng Ting could see that Xiao Xian was plainly dressed, but she had never seen them before. She was curious and greeted them politely. Then she saw Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao, who seemed too timid to raise their heads. Yue Jingting sneered inwardly, but showed no look on her face. She just ignored them and smiled at Yue Jingxiao and Xie Jingrong. They talked about the good things they knew, their orchids, banquets and all. She tried to cater to Xie Jingrong. Xie Jingrong was not very talkative, but he did not pretend to be distant. Before Yue Jingting came, he and Xiao Yinduan were having a good conversation, but he fell into silence when Yue Jingting came over. Unless Yue Jingting asked him of her own accord, he would not respond to a thing of his own accord. Yue Jingting had not yet managed to see her third brother and Xie Jingrong together for a long time, and on this rare occasion, she believed that Xie Jingrong would stay more patient and talked more. But Xie Jingrong was so annoyed, and so was Yue Jingxiao. What a shameless person! Xiao Xian and Xiao Yinduan had sensed the hidden trouble between them. They exchanged a look and felt helpless. Yue Jingxiao and Xie Jingrong had to let the show go on, so they needed to finish the whole meal from beginning to the end. Xiao Xian could sense that Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao were nervous. She smiled at Xiao Xiaoqi and patted Xiao Taotao's hands, saying with a smile, "Let's eat, the dishes are expensive, don't waste them." Chapter 319. Contempt. Xiao Taotao burst into chuckles spontaneously, hearing what Xiao Xian said. She felt more relaxed as well. She nodded at Xiao Xian and answered with a small okay. The two girls did not make a big move of it, but Yue Jingting happened to see that. Yue Jingting not only needed to pretend that she were elegant, but also tried to find some topics to start the conversation. The whole thing was very tiring. Moreover, Xie Jingrong seemed quite uninterested, and did not seem to have any intention of speaking with her. To top it, her third brother disliked her even more. That made Yue Jingting feel rather annoyed. It was quite embarrassing as well. Since Xie Jingrong did not want to speak with her, and she could not continue to pester him, she glanced at Xiao Xian and Xiao Taotao. "Mrs. Xiao, you are on a good term with Ms. Xiao. Where are you from? I have never seen you before." Xiao Xian smiled. "We are just running some small business outside the city. It is quite normal that you have never seen us before, Lady Yue Jing." Yue Jingting chuckled, and threw a look at Yue Jingxiao. "You are demeaning yourself, Mrs. Xiao. My third brother is a very picky person. Ordinary business people do not impress him, let alone be his friends." Yue Jingting felt increasingly confused. Her third brother was a very picky person, and only a few people had managed to become his friends. If Xiao Yinduan were alone here, she might have understood what happened. But Xiao Xian was a woman, and she was here with her brother-in-law and sister-in-law. It looked so strange. How important did her third brother consider the whole family to be? He was treating the whole family to such a huge lunch. Xiao Xian continued making up some stories. At the same time, she showed a surprised look. "That is really nice of young Master Yue Jing. Well, when young Master Yue Jing passed by our village, it happened to be raining very heavily. So he sought shelter under our roof, and had a wonderful chat with my husband. We came to the town today and ran into them again, so..." Yue Jingxiao let out a sigh of relief upon hearing what Xiao Xian said. He immediately reacted. "Mrs. Xiao, you are very friendly. You treated us well the other day, and now it is my turn." Yue Jingting smiled and nodded, losing the interest of speaking with them anymore. She understood that this family did not seem to have the chance of becoming her third brother's friends. Well, they were just being polite with each other. The long lunch was finally finished, and Xiao Yinduan waved them goodbye, leaving with Xiao Xian and his brother and sister. Yue Jingxiao did not have a very happy and easy family either. Yue Jingxiao lowered his head slightly in an apologetic way, and did not get up to walk them out. They had just left when Yue Jingxiao said to Yue Jingting, "You can go home now. I and Brother Xie have other affairs to deal with." Yue Jingting smiled bashfully. "Third brother, where are you going? Take me along too." It was okay for women and men to go out together with family accompanying them. But Yue Jingxiao did not have any interest in taking her along. He smiled and said, "Girls should not go where we are going." Yue Jingting got startled and her face reddened. She could not insist upon following along. So, she had to pretend as if she knew nothing and smiled. I will go home first. I am leaving now. Having said that, she left with her maid. Yuezhing Xiao let out a sigh of relief and smiled at Xie Jingrong. Honestly, brother Xie, when are you getting married? Don't be so picky. Just get engaged and marry as soon as possible. Chapter 320. Too kind. As long as Xie Jingrong was engaged, Yuezhing Ting would leave him alone. She was just too annoying. Xie Jingrong showed a weak smile. I can't lose my whole life for this tiny nuisance, right? Yuezhing Xiao laughed. Then he sighed. It was so annoying that someone just had no idea how they should behave. In the wagon, Yuezhing Ting's face sank. Zhang said angrily. Third young master behaves way over the top. How can he say such a thing in front of you? Let's tell Madame Yuezhing about this, so he can be punished. Irritated, Yuezhing Ting snapped at her. All right. What is the point of telling Grandma about this? Grandma would just tell him not to do that, and that was it. She did not want to look more irritating in his eyes. You are simply too kind, miss. Jiang mumbled. But why is third young master not helping you? Isn't that a good thing for the Yuezhing family after all? Yuezhing Ting bit her lips and said nothing more. That was exactly what she was thinking. It would be a good thing for the whole family. But her third brother was not helping her, and also pretending not to know a thing. That was so disgusting. She was growing older and older, and would need to get engaged to someone else after a couple of more years, if she didn't manage to get the man she wanted. But she was not convinced. Which other family had a better groom than the lineal grandson of the Xie family in the whole province? It would be such an honor if she could marry Xie Jingrong. Everyone was going to be jealous of her. More importantly, she had the chance to make it happen. Her third brother and Xie Jingrong were good friends. As long as he helped, she would have at least 80%, if not 100% chance to get him. She really fancied Xie Jingrong personally as well, keeping aside his background. Xie Jingrong was such a handsome man that was attractive to everyone. Yuezhing Ting felt so annoyed. She decided to think of a better way to make this happen. Yuezhing Ting was just thinking when she heard Jiang speak. Look at that, isn't that young Master Xiao and his family? It was cloudy today, not very hot, and Xiao Xian and the other three walked back to the hotel, strolling along the street. Yuezhing Ting cast an arrogant look at her and rolled her eyes. She had no interest in looking at them. Jing sneered. Poverty. They could not even afford to ride in wagons. In the afternoon, Yuezhing Xiao and Xie Jingrong visited the hotel again, and exchanged business matters with Xiao Xian. They also talked about the tea leaves. They were quite confident about the future. As for the colleges and the scholars whom Xiao Yinduan would like to visit, the Xie family knew it all. Xie Jingrong gave him the advice and even expressed that he would send a pageboy to tag along. With Xie Jingrong's pageboy around, he would remind Xiao Yinduan and help him reach the right people. In the process, he would not become a target for people to get jealous about or attract too much attention. If Xie Jingrong went there with him, Xiao Yinduan might be the topic of gossip among the scholars in the whole province. This seemed to be a proper arrangement. Xiao Yinduan thanked him politely. Xiao Xian was quite glad. Xie Jingrong was such a friendly and considerate person. Xie Jingrong also expressed that he would treat them for another meal after a few days. After speaking with them for a while, the two friends left together. Chapter 321. Gifts. The two of them returned home and opened the presents given by Xiao Xian and Xiao Yinduan respectively. Both of them were shocked. China roots were of excellent quality, very difficult to obtain though not so difficult for them. But Ganoderma was really rare. It was bigger than a man's open hand, thick and well-patterned, black in color and flawless. It emitted an attractive herbal smell. What they did not know was that Xiao Xian had put the plant in space for a few days and used her superpower to make it better. So it was far better than the ordinary kinds. These were indeed precious things. Each of them should be worth more than 2,000 liang, and could not be bought easily. They both believed that Xiao Yinduan and his family did not buy them, and must have found them in the mountains. They should know that this plant was very precious. But they gave them away as presents. What precious gifts! Brother Xiao and his family are so generous. It is wonderful. Yuezheng Xiao ordered Chu Shan to wrap up the plants and deliver them to his mother in the outskirts area. His father was still sick, and the plants were good for health. They should come in handy. At the Xie mansion, Xie Jingrong was so shocked when seeing the presents. He promptly had them delivered to his grandmother. Madame Xie was so happy that she kept smiling. You all say that I adore Jingrong more, but look at how much he loves me. He found me the best Chinese fleece flower root, and now this. These two are really rarely seen herbs. Jingrong must have spent a lot of effort to find them. I adore him deeply, and no one should crib about it. People present there smiled and spoke highly of Xie Jingrong. Xie Jingrong's cousins got so jealous but stayed mum. They had tried to find Chinese fleece flower root, but couldn't find it. They had offered some rare plants to the grandmother, but never found such a great-looking one before. It was just Xie Jingrong's luck. Xie Jingrong's pageboy kept Xiao Yunduan company at the academic events, whilst Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao as well as Xiao Xian rented a wagon and traveled around the province every day. Xiao Xian had asked Xiao Xiaoqi to accompany Xiao Yunduan, but Xiao Yunduan turned that idea down. He insisted that Xiao Xiaoqi should keep Xiao Xian and Taotao company. He did not think that two girls should travel alone in the town. They were friends with Yuezheng Xiao and Xie Jingrong, but the two of them were far away. Xiao Xiaoqi was a man, and he should be of some help in case of any emergency. He also gave the coachman a lot of money, telling him to pay more attention to them, and he would receive an extra bonus for it in the future. The coachman felt quite happy and agreed. Xiao Xian loved traveling. She made a specific plan, and went about with Xiao Xiaoqi and Taotao for shopping and food tasting. Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao got so excited and obeyed Xiao Xian's order dutifully. They visited many places of interest before it turned hot, and returned to the town at lunchtime to eat at a recommended, old restaurant. Chapter 322. Shopping. They took a nap at the hotel, and at 4 in the afternoon, they went to a few stores and some other leisure places, before joining Xiao Yunduan for dinner. Xiao Yunduan felt quite jealous after hearing Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao's talks regarding where they had been and what they ate, bought and saw in the morning. He threw a quick look at Xiao Xian. He had not yet spent much qualitative time with her outside. He needed to find a good time to walk with her. After a couple of days of shopping, Xiao Xian bought quite a lot of things, which were not easily seen in the town, like clothes materials, embroidery threads, blushers, silk flowers, small beautiful jewelry, various seasonings and dry food ingredients. Province and town were different. Xiao Xian was very happy to see sun-dried shrimps, abalones, sea cucumbers, hairtails, conchas, sea scallops, and yellow croakers. She bought a lot of each kind. She would buy the snacks and long-lasting pastry one day before they returned home. She even visited the pharmacies, trying to see if she could get any fresh ginseng. But unfortunately, she could not find any. Good ginsengs were rare, but all were processed, not originally growing. Xiao Xian had to give up finding fresh ones. She was very interested in plants, fruit trees and expensive flowers and woods, so she spent some time there too. It was not the best time to plant flowers, so there were not many available except for some pots. Xiao Xian did not need any of those. She went to visit some florists and checked their flower gardens, but none was good enough for the space. Finally, she bought some plum trees, different kinds of grapes and peach trees. She was going to pick them up one day before they went home. The fruits of these could be eaten in the next year. After a few days in a row, Xiao Yunduan had visited the places he needed to and met those whom he had to meet. He had obtained much knowledge, and was more confident about the imperial examination next year. The following day, Xie Jingrong asked them to visit him at the side mansion, and they decided to leave after 2 days. After dinner, the day turned dark and Xiao Yunduan asked Xiao Xian, "What about taking a walk around? Just nearby?" There was a river passing through the city nearby. Willows and peach trees were planted along the riverside. The area along the riverside was also a famous local food street. There were countless shops, large and small, lively at night. Especially in summer, many catering shops liked to put long tables and stools on the wide venue at the entrance. There were countless diners, and the restaurant was spacious and cool. The fragrance was permeating, which was particularly appealing. In the past few days, they had visited a lot of places during the day. At night, after dinner, everyone had no energy to go out again. Therefore, though they knew about such a place and yearned for it, they didn't visit it. Now they wanted to have a last walk around the area. Xiao Xian was quite interested in seeing the night town in the ancient city. So she said, "Okay, I heard that it is very lively along the river." Xiao Yunduan nodded and looked gentle. "Let's go. What about fetching Tao Tao and Qi?" Well, Xiao Yunduan sounded indifferent. They are already there. He had already looked into it and believed that it was very safe with many people there. He instructed Qi and Tao Tao not to stay close to the small alleyway or come home too late, thus letting them go alone. Chapter 323. Hand in hand, both of them were so happy and went out ages ago. They just could not wait to walk around at night. Xiao Xian smiled. They were nagging about this, and they could not wait. Let's go as well. Okay. Qi and Tao Tao were not too young anymore, and Xiao Xian was not very worried about their safety. Most people in the world were trying to live in peace. There were not so many bad guys around. They walked shoulder to shoulder and moved forward with the crowd. The lights of the stores were on as they walked along the street. The lights were sparkling like stars. Under the light, people were moving about, laughing and chatting with each other. In the summer night, the wind blew from the river bank, bringing the coolness and the aroma of various food stalls, which made people feel the warmth in this world. When the two of them came to the long riverside street, the excitement and hustle and bustle seemed to be doubled. There were people tasting delicious food everywhere. Various shops or stalls were blazing with fire, and the sounds of frying, boiling, and steaming were endless. The aromas of various foods were stimulated and collided with each other, and the fragrance was particularly attractive. In addition, there were many shops selling various kinds of cakes, candied fruit, roasted seeds and nuts, sugar man, candied haws, and more, which made the street lively and bustling. Xiao Xian was shocked. She had not expected that the night streets in this era would be so lively. What a pity. We should not have come post-dinner, or even lunch. We should have starved ourselves for a day before coming to this place. Xiao Yunduan laughed when he heard that. We can take a walk first, and if we feel like eating, we can eat some, or we can come again another time. Yes. Xiao Xian smiled and nodded as they continued strolling around. They passed by a store full of dried fruits. Xiao Xian bought some sugar-coated plums. They walked and ate as they came to the riverside. The lights on both sides of the river were reflected on the water surface. The gently flowing waves shook the light and shadow, and everything became gentle and blurred. The two of them stood under a big willow tree, feeling the cool breeze and looking at the river view, surrounded by lively people coming and going. Suddenly the two of them looked at each other and smiled lightly. Xiao Xian pinched on the plum and passed it to Xiao Yunduan's lips. Her long eyelashes blinked as she said with a smile, "Want to try, darling?" Xiao Yunduan stiffened. He had heard her calling him darling numerous times, and by now he was used to it. But at this time, he felt that his heart was throbbing hard. Her slender and white fingers brushed his chin unintentionally, and the faint, smooth and soft touch lingered for a long time. He was a little afraid to look down at her hand, let alone her smiling eyes. He lowered his eyes and said, "Yeah." Then he opened his mouth in a panic and bit the plum. Also, he bit a part of her small finger too. Xiao Yunduan blushed and stiffened. He could not even start to chew the plum. Sorry. He wanted to apologize to her, but could not open his mouth and say anything. Xiao Xian had not realized what happened, but seeing him stiffen, she thought that it was because he did not like the taste of plums. She smiled. "Is it too sour?" "I think it is okay. You can spit it if you don't like it." Chapter 324. Teasing no nope. Xiao Yunduan finally understood what he should say, but the sour and sweet taste was on his tongue, stimulating every cell in the mouth. He mumbled, "Not sour, sweet." Xiao Xian suddenly realized why he had reacted in that way. She chuckled inwardly, feeling a bit proud. Her husband could be teased so easily? So thin-skinned? Xiao Xian added, "For real? You want to try one more?" Xiao Yunduan stiffened and looked at the girl in front of him. In the dim light, she had raised her head to look at him, her moist black eyes smiling a little. She was holding a plum in her slender hand, and was holding it next to his lips. At this moment he only had her in his eyes, and the lights from far and near, and the noise of pedestrians coming and going had become the background. He opened his mouth slightly, approaching her hand cautiously. He quickly grabbed the sweet and sour plum, and hurriedly retreated, for fear that his lips would touch her finger again abruptly. Xiao Xian, she had intended to take advantage of him and tease him. She wanted to continue asking if he hated her or not. But this man was so honest that he just did not want to offend her. Xiao Xian laughed. "Well." Xiao Yunduan did not dare to look at her again, but pretended to cough. "You want something more? Let's go around." "Sure." Xiao Xian looked at him and answered with a smile. She could not tease him anymore but looked deeply at him. Just leave him alone. There will be more chances in the future. Also, he should focus on studies, since the imperial examination was coming soon. She should not pursue him to start a romantic relationship at this time. It was not going to be an easy examination. The two continued to stroll forward. Xiao Yunduan was very careful to protect Xiao Xian, so that no one would touch or push her. What Xiao Xian saw and liked, he bought it and took the initiative to carry it, and strolled down further. Though he didn't buy much, Xiao Yundan's hands were full on both sides. Xiao Xian supported that and chuckled. "I bought so many things already." Xiao Yunduan smiled. "Not many you like them." Xiao Xian felt her heart sweeten. She leaned her head and smiled at him. "Really? Can you give me anything I like?" Xiao Yunduan felt his heart throbbing. It felt as if her words carried a deeper meaning. He nodded without looking at her. "Of course." "What if you regret it?" Xiao Xian sounded very sad. Xiao Yunduan felt his heart break after hearing that. He added, "No, never." "Really?" "Yes." Xiao Xian's eyes sparkled as she said, "Oh, okay, but you should remember that only you can give me what I want, and you can't share it with anyone else." Xiao Yunduan was startled. Then he felt his heart beating fast. Right after, he was taken aback. What did she mean? Was it what he was thinking about? Xiao Yunduan felt an urge to ask her, but stopped himself. Chapter 325. Not possible. He was going to wait for a bit longer, till he passed the examination. By that time, he would be a good match for her, and he could ask her then. Xiao Yunduan flushed and believed that she should like him too. For now he said nothing except for just 2 words. "Don't worry." Xiao Xian could sense that he was very resolute at the moment. She felt his heart soften and started to feel a bit guilty. She should not have teased him like this. They should have understood by this point that they were not going to divorce as they had agreed at the beginning. "I am not worried." Xiao Xian smiled and tugged at his arms. "Let's go back. Qi and Tao Tao should be back by now. They will be worried about us." Xiao Yunduan was very happy to be pulled by her. "Let's go." There was no better wife than her. She was nice to him and treated his siblings warmly too. They ran into Tao Tao and Qi on the way back to the hotel. Xiao Yunduan wondered how he felt when the duo had 2 more people joining them. He suddenly lost the sweet air which existed a while ago. The 4 of them headed back to the hotel together. As they were going into the room, Xiao Yunduan suddenly stopped at the entrance and looked at Xiao Xian. Xiao Xian seemed to have sensed that he was looking at her, and she returned the look. As their eyes met, Xiao Yunduan stiffened slightly and panicked. He was feeling a bit strange. He was just about to move away when Xiao Xian smiled. "Good night." Xiao Yunduan also replied in a relaxed tone. "Good night." Then he hurried into his room. Xiao Xian chuckled and felt slightly emotional as well. She could not help but smile. Early the next morning, Yuezheng Xiao came over with a wagon, and took them to visit Xie Jingrong's abbey in the outskirts. Xie Abbey was his personal property, which was located at Peach Flower Site, more than 10 miles away in the southern outskirts of the city. The abbey wasn't enormous but looked really beautiful. There were rockeries, a small lake and more. They could either go into the rockeries or row a boat in the lake in hot summer. Xie Abbey was located in the valley, and there was a green lake outside the path. At the back of the abbey was a large bamboo forest that was well maintained. Passing through the bamboo forest was a maple forest. A white waterfall fell from the mountain, and the sound of rumbling water brought forth bursts of coolness. Xie was already waiting for them when they arrived. Xie was only entertaining them on this day. No other guests were around. Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao both let out a sigh of relief. They were very afraid of running into strangers like Lady Yuezheng. That would be awkward. Rich families varied as well. Brother Yuezheng and Brother Xie were very different from others. Without any outsiders around, they talked happily. The garden was small and exquisite, quiet and elegant. Taotao could not move her legs when she saw the koi swimming in the water lily pond. So Xie ordered his maid to bring fish food and accompany her to feed the fish. Xiao Xiaoqi was quite looking forward to seeing the horses in the abbey when he heard about it. Xie took them to see the horse. In the valley outside the manor, there was a small horse farm, enough for beginners to practice. Xiao Xiaoqi was really excited. He touched and patted the horses, smiling happily. Yuezheng Xiao laughed and sent away the coachman, offering to teach Xiao Xiaoqi to ride a horse personally. Chapter 326. Good Things in Mountains. Xiao Xiaoqi was a fast learner. Soon he could ride alone in the horse farm, steady and calm. Yuezheng Xiao praised him with a smile. She learns fast. Xie added. He seems to have established a friendship with the horse very easily. Xiao Xian felt proud and added. Of course he is. He never fails in hunting. Hunting? Yuezheng Xiao felt his chin and got very excited. Qi, you are so talented. What about hunting together? I also want to go have a look at your mountain. They all laughed. Xiao Xian laughed too, but felt a bit guilty. There were many things in the mountains. Xiao Yunduan said. Actually, hunting is a matter of luck, but there aren't many people in our village who can hunt. The mountain is full of woods, and there are many prey. If you are interested, Brother Yuezheng, please come and visit us when it gets colder. Yuezheng Xiao was glad to hear the offer. It's a deal. We will definitely go over, right, Brother Xie? Xie nodded and gave a brief smile. Yes. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian also went up on the horseback. They were not very good at riding compared to Qi. They were nervous and stiff on the back of the horse, and soon Xiao Xian felt arms and legs languishing. A little while later, she dismounted. Xiao Yunduan rode the horse for 2 laps and went off too. Xiao Xiaoqi wanted to go beyond the horse farm, and Yuezheng Xiao, who was in a good mood, decided to guide him from the back door. Xie turned to Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian. Yuezheng is very good at riding, and the horse is mild. Don't worry, he should take care of Qi well. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian nodded. They were not worried about Qi. He seemed like an active boy, but he knew what he ought to do and what not. The 3 of them returned to the abbey first. Taotao had been feeding the fish and looking out for Xiao Xian and the others. She came over the moment she saw them. Xiao Yunduan and Xie were chatting in the pavilion, drinking tea, whilst Xiao Xian and Xiao Taotao just walked around randomly. Xiao Xian subconsciously started to pay attention to the plants. The plants were flourishing in the garden, and lavender was blooming vividly. There were some other small flowers as well. Xiao Xian was more interested in fruit trees and vegetables, but they did not seem to exist here. So she stopped thinking about it. Well, the plants in the garden were all for show, and the fruit trees would be limited to pomegranates, persimmons, peaches and plums. She could go to seek some later. They ate lunch at the garden. Xie hired the chef from the mansion, who had been busy getting ready for the lunch. The chef cooked 1 whole table of dishes for them. Yuezheng Xiao teased his friend by saying that he managed to eat the dishes only because Xiao Yunduan and his family were here. Xie had never treated him so well like this before. They spent the afternoon rowing late, and after dinner, the sun set and they left the abbey. Yuezhing Xiao took them back to the hotel. Brother Xia's abbey is so nice, so beautiful too. Of course the province just looks so different. But I love our home more. Me too, but I want to buy a horse. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian were amused by Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao's conversation. Xiao Xian smiled. You behaved very well. Also, I agree with you. When we make more money, we will build a huge abbey, alright? Chapter 327. For favor for real? Yes. Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao's eyes sparkled. They looked quite expectant. Yet it was definitely doable. They could build the abbey themselves. Of course, as long as we make enough money, we can save our money and build an abbey for ourselves. Me too. Can I raise one horse too then? Xiao Xian laughed. Everything is going to work out. You can have two if you like. But save your money and we will have an abbey sooner than later. Xiao Yunduan added too. Your fifth sister-in-law is right. We will have an abbey, as long as you help your fifth sister-in-law in her work. He was going to work hard as well so that she could live a peaceful and leisurely life, and not worry about the Qiao family. The following morning, Xiao Xian headed out. They had made a deal the day before. Yuezhing Xiao sent 2 wagons for them so Chu Shan would keep them company while on the way back home. The sprouts from the florist as well as many things filled up one entire wagon. Yuezhing Xiao and Xie Jingrong both gave them presents to take back. Xie Jingrong gave them 2 jars of ginseng wine, as well as some delicate pastries that were made by the chef in the mansion. He also gave some handwritten transcripts which were excellent articles from previous examinations. These articles were easy to procure for the Xie family, but for those outside the family, they were valuable things, which were difficult to collect. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian were really grateful. Those were the exact things they required. Yuezhing Xiao also offered some good food and things to use, including cubulos, donkey hide gelatin, spices and brocades. He was very generous. Yuezhing Xiao and Xie Jingrong did not see them off personally. They were friends and did not need to stick to such useless formalities. Also, Xiao Yunduan was going to participate in the imperial examination next year. And when he went to the next level, he could openly become good friends with Xie Jingrong, who would bring along his good friend, Yuezhing Xiao. That would work out smoothly. If he was known to have befriended the Xie family earlier, he might risk being gossiped about. Yuezhing Xiao put the newly obtained lipsticks in the store for sale. Due to the limited stock, only 30 pieces were sold each day, and each person was given no more than 2. If they failed to get even one, the consumers could buy items worth 10 liang at or make a booking for the next day. 10 liang was a huge amount. Even for people from the Xie family, the pocket money of the ladies would only be 2 liang monthly. Well, if the ladies had the intention of buying good stuff, they would always have ways to get their mother to buy them. Yuezhing Xiao was very satisfied. This small store brought in a lot of profit for him every month. More importantly, he did not need to spend a lot of effort in building up the store. As long as he had lipsticks in stock, he could always buy some other things and sell them easily. Once home, Yuezhing Xiao was asked by Madame Yuezhing to come over for a talk. Yuezhing Xiao could almost tell what was going on. He nodded, changed his clothes and went for the talk. Yuezhing Ting must have reported him again. Yuezhing Ting wanted 10 lipsticks from him the day before, but he had turned her down. And now his grandmother was looking for him. What a coincidence. He could give her 1, but 10? Why, so that she could share them with others to lift up her reputation? Never. Yuezhing Ting was very irritating. She said that 10 lipsticks just cost a few hundred liang, and that was nothing for her third brother. Why couldn't he give them to her? But someone needed to tell her that this money was not falling from the sky. Chapter 328. Yuezhing Xiao's relief. Yuezhing Xiao greeted his grandmother and spoke with her for a few moments. Soon after, Madame Yuezhing started to ask him about the lipsticks. She kept blaming him for not caring about his cousin. As expected, she said that it was a matter of just a few lipsticks which only cost a few hundred liang. Yuezhing Xiao did not bother to listen to her carefully. He let the words go through his ears and disappear. A few hundred liang was a huge amount in any family. The Yuezhing family was really rich, but a few hundred liang was still a sizable amount. He was not going to give them to Yuezhing Ting for free just for her whim. Not even when Madame Yuezhing asked for it. However, Madame Yuezhing just mentioned this briefly instead of forcing Yuezhing Xiao to do it for Yuezhing Ting. However, that was not it. Madame Yuezhing did not continue with it, but suddenly added, "We have manv business affairs in our familv, and Vu can help with our familv business as well. You can just leave this store to Ting who can train herself. She can earn some money as well. She is a girl, totally suitable for such a store. What do you think?" Yuezhing Xiao was not a stingy person, but he was disgusted by what he had heard. No wonder she did not pester him earlier. This was what she was thinking about. Seeing that he didn't say anything, Madame Yuezhing further said, "I will decide it for you. Just give the store to Ting, like the source and everything. Don't forget to teach her well." Yuezhing Xiao turned her down. Yuezhing Xiao smiled. "Grandmother, what a coincidence. I am trying to train myself as well. I started it with my own money, not with the family money. I am saving this for my wife, not others. If a cousin wants to train herself, why not pick any other store from the family business? Or she can open one herself if she likes." He was not working for the family, but for the business line from the Northwest. His elder brother would have dropped it too. The two brothers worked hard not for the second section of the family to take advantage of. That's not how things worked. Madame Yuezhing was startled. She sounded a bit annoyed. "But it is just a small store. If Ting likes it. But I like it too." Yuezhing Xiao smiled, but he did not mean to smile. He replied in a frivolous tone, "Grandmother, you know that I will never give away anything I love. Grandmother, spoil me once too, all right?" Madame Yuezhing. Yuezhing Xiao smiled, got up and left. This child has been taught so badly by his parents. She was furious. The second Mrs. Yuezhing and Yuezhing Ting walked out of the room behind, and second Mrs. Yuezhing said, "Don't be mad, mother. Ting has forgotten what Xiao is like. He is right, just drop it." Madame Yuezhing sneered. "He is like this because his parents have taught him wrong." Yuezhing Ting pursed her lips and said in a muffled sound, "I love this store a lot. That is why I asked the third brother for it. How could he turn me down for just one thing I asked him for? How can he talk with you like this? Doesn't he feel guilty when he speaks with you like this, grandmother?" Chapter 329. Pretense. Madame Yuezhing became even more annoyed. She sneered. "He doesn't think of me as his grandmother at all." Second Mrs. Yuezhing smiled. "It is fine, Mom. Xiao loves you, but he is just fickle because he is a young man. He can be confused sometimes. Ting, talk with your grandmother and I will check in the kitchen. Mom, you are going to be served delicious food consisting of longan with duck soup. I have to stay by the fireplace and watch it carefully." Only now did Madame Yuezhing feel happier. She smiled emotionally. "You love me the most." Yuezhing Ting blinked her eyes and said with a smile, "That is what we should." Madame Yuezhing laughed. By the time they finished with lunch, Madame Yuezhing was very happy. After that, the mother and daughter went back to their own yards. The mother and the daughter felt so uncomfortable after pretending to serve Madame Yuezhing well. That was why Yuezhing Ting did not like to speak with Madame Yuezhing. It was so tiring. She loved to be free and alone. "Mom, we can't let it go so easily, right? I really want that store." Yuezhing Ting was really unconvinced. If she could be in charge of the store, she would use the lipsticks to become friends with the ladies from the Xie family. Then she would have more chances to get closer to the Xie family. Third brother was so stingy as to not give that small store to her. Second Mrs. Yuezhing sneered and said, "What can we do if your third brother doesn't agree to it? We can't steal it, right? He is not a very easy person to deal with." Second Mrs. Yuezhing had already noticed the potential of the store when Yuezhing Xiao first promoted the lipsticks. She also got interested in it. Seeing that he had very little in stock, second Mrs. Yuezhing even offered to find someone who could produce more for them and expand the business. That basically meant that she wanted to be involved in the process. The lipsticks business was different from the others. All ladies would try to suck up to them if such business was in her hands. Also, it was a very special way of making money, safe and generous. But Yue Xiao turned her down. Yue Xiao and his brother were not very easy to deal with. Second Mrs. Yue had no way to force him to accept her proposal. She had expected that no matter what Yue Ting said to Madame Yue, the result would be the same. But she just wanted to make Madame Yue hate the first section of the family some more, and cause more trouble for Yue Xiao. Yue Ting remained unconvinced. Biting her lower lip, she said, "How can third brother treat us like this? I am his sister, but he is treating me worse than he treats that whole poor family?" Second Mrs. Yue raised her eyebrows. "What poor family?" Yue Ting pursed her lips and recounted the story when she met Xiao Yunduan, Yue Xiao and Xie Jingrong at the restaurant. Second Mrs. Yue thought for a while and said, "That poor family might be related to your third brother in some way." Yue Ting was startled. Second Mrs. Yue said, "Your third brother never gets close to anyone so quickly. Moreover, young Master Xie was with them too." Moved, Second Mrs. Yue suddenly thought of how the whole family showed up after Yue Xiao started the store. She could not find the source of the lipsticks because Yue Xiao was very cautious all this while. Her staff could not trace it either. Second Mrs. Yue sneered. Well, they could look into these poor people, and her men could go about and dig out the truth. When she found out the source, Yue Xiao would not be able to hold on to this business. Chapter 330. Province. Second Mrs. Yue knew that her daughter could not conceal any secret, so she did not reveal this plan to her. Yue Ting did not think of it as something of importance. She was more worried about her own marital affairs, so she could not help but start to mention Xie Jingrong again. The two of them mumbled to each other for a few moments before stopping. At Shouting Village, Qiaoxian and Xiao Yunduan finally returned home in the evening. Their trip was quite long, and they finally came back home and settled in. Ms. Fong kept saying out of relief, "Good that you are back. I was so worried about you. I was scared that you would be bullied, or have no place to go to. I was just too stressed. Good that you are finally back." They heard her words and burst into laughter. Xiao Xian felt her heart become warm. She smiled. "Mom, we are no longer little children. We can take good care of ourselves. Also, we went to the province, not somewhere dangerous. No one would bully us there." Yes, Xiao Xiaoqi said. Brother Yue and Brother Xie were there too. It was so much fun. Ms. Fong glared at him. "You only know how to play." Tao Tao suddenly held back her own words. When she saw her mother's reaction, she stuck out her tongue. Xiao Xian and Tao Tao had sorted the things on their way home, and it was easy for them to arrange them. The ingredients were all stored in the empty wing room. The gifts for each person were put in packages and given out directly. The brocades and other things given by Yue Xiao as well as those given by Xie Jingrong were all put away by Qiao Xian in her own room. She gave the snacks to others and shared them with Ms. Fong. The Xie family, which was a noble family, had given very exquisite and small pastries. There were various flower-shaped red bean cakes, mung bean cakes, sweet-scented osmanthus cakes, lotus cakes shaped like lotus flowers, transparent and beautiful crystal cakes, as well as jujube mud cakes, hawthorn cakes, chestnut cakes, fried sugar balls, sugar lotus seeds, etc. They looked good and tasted even better. Everything looked so good and people spoke highly of them. They were even hesitant to swallow them down. They also bought some stuff for the second and third section of the family. Those were cheap things but looked good. They should be enough for them. No one wanted to deliver the stuff to them though. Ms. Fong asked eldest uncle to do the needful, who in turn delegated it to Tao Tao. Tao Tao dodged it, and the others pretended that they had not seen a thing. Eldest uncle had no choice but to go there alone. They all knew about Xiao Yunduan and their visit to the province, and felt very complicated in heart. The first section of the family got so lucky that they had a different life after Qiao Xian married into the family. That was the province they went to. Not many people from the village even went to the town. The first section of the family in the past could never have done a thing like this. Eldest uncle delivered the things, and Ms. Niu and second uncle were both quite happy. They were no longer as wild as in the past. Ms. Niu knew that they could only wait for Ms. Fang to give them stuff. Ms. Zhang looked at her smiling in-laws and got annoyed. The first section of the family would rather go to province to splurge their money than loan a few liang to her. Chapter 331. Affairs. When eldest uncle came to the third section of the family, Xiao Lulang had also returned from college. Hearing that Xiao Yunduan and Oyo Xian had gone to the province, Xiao Lulang was startled at first and then got quite uncomfortable. He smiled. Isn't fifth brother studying? What was he doing in the province? And he was away for so long. He dreamed about going to the province. But he could not go there unless it was for the examination. What were people like Xiao Yunduan doing there? Slightly startled, eldest uncle had no idea what his children were doing in the province. They just went there, and did not say anything. Eldest uncle did not find it strange, thus did not ask. But when Xiao Lulang questioned him about this, he staggered. I don't know, they can do whatever they want. Xiao Lulang got up and said, Then, I will go and speak with him. Xiao Yunduan was just a cultivated talent who should go to the province next year. But he was there for so long. It must have been not just for shopping, but also to attend some events held by the colleges and poetry society, etc. He might have bought some books home too. The more he thought about this, the more Xiao Lulang felt jealous. He got really distressed again by the fact that he had not saved the second miss of the Qiao family at that time. But for Miss Qiao, Xiao Yunduan would not have gotten so lucky and had the chance to visit the province. Xiao Yunduan was not surprised by Xiao Lulang's visit. Xiao Lulang hit right on the topic after a few remarks. Fifth brother, have you heard any news or bought any related books? I should have gone there with you and checked it out ahead of time. What he meant ahead of time was before the examination date. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian felt quite speechless. This man was not yet the cultivated talent, and the examination will not happen until mid-autumn day. Was he so sure that he would become the cultivated talent for sure this time? Even if he did make it, he would not have much time to read and review. Did he dare to do so within such a short while? Xiao Yunduan did not want to ponder over this question. Thus did not say a word. Xiao Lulang could not help but ask sourly. Fifth brother, just tell me frankly. You must have visited some people during the days you stayed in the province, right? You visited some important people and heard some news too, right? Xiao Yunduan did not want to discuss this. Thanks to Xie Jingrong and Yuezheng Xiao, he did have a good harvest during this trip, and he got to visit many people. He also learned a great deal from those experience figures. Xie Jingrong even gave him numerous precious documents. He could not tell the truth, feeling that Xiao Lulang would get jealous. He also hoped that Xiao Lulang could achieve the goal he wanted to. If he could pass the cultivated talent examination, he could definitely pass on some information to him, but not right now. It was not very easy to meet those people. Xiao Yunduan replied vaguely. Xiao Lulang felt much more comfortable, and showed a smile on his distressed face. He took it for granted that Xiao Yunduan had failed to visit the scholars there, though he intended to. Chapter 332. For whom fifth brother, you are right. Those people are arrogant and they are not easy to meet up with. It is totally reasonable that they didn't want to meet you. Don't be upset. Xiao Yunduan smiled. Yeah. Anyway, this is your assumption. Xiao Lulang asked again. Fifth brother, but you must have bought some books home, right? Can I read them? Xiao Yunduan did not turn him down. He took out the books but did not show him the excellent articles. These were not useful for Xiao Lulang. Xiao Lulang leafed through the stuff and looked quite jealous. Fifth brother, can I borrow them and read? Xiao Yunduan said. They are not useful for you right now. You can have them when you become a cultivated talent. He needed these books and decided to study them wholeheartedly these days. He was not going to let Xiao Lulang borrow them away. He would not mind helping Xiao Lulang when he was not affected. but he was not going to sacrifice himself for him. Xiao Lulang was not worth it. Also, he needed to be guarded against this cousin of his. He was always so jealous of him. Since he got the books, Xiao Yunduan would not loan them out to Xiao Lulang. He would only allow him to make a copy. For some reason, Xiao Lulang started to believe that Xiao Yunduan had more opportunities to pass the examination. That made him both jealous and anxious, and he even started to panic. Xiao Yunduan was always far more excellent than him, though they started to study together. Xiao Yunduan kept going upwards, whilst he remained still. What would others think of him under such circumstances? He would turn into a laughingstock. Fifth brother, I am just borrowing them. You are too stingy to lend them to me? Or are you trying to stop me from making it to the next level? I am not affecting you. We will bring honor to our family together. Eldest uncle heard that, and added involuntarily, Yunduan, you can just lend them out to your cousin. If both of you make it, we will be so honored. Xiao Yunduan did not respond to his father. In his father's opinion, his brothers were all very nice people without any fault. That is okay. Xiao Yunduan said calmly, you can come and copy them. I need to use those books, and so, you can't take them away. But you can copy them. Xiao Lulang looked embarrassed. But I am going to take the examination soon. What time do I have for copying? Fifth brother, you are giving me a hard time. Xiao Xian could not stand it anymore. Who on earth was giving others a hard time here? Don't worry, these books are not very practical for you right now. They are useful for him as the cultivated talent. You can copy them when you become a cultivated talent. I bought them with great difficulty, not just with money. These are very precious for my husband right now, and it is not very suitable to loan them to you right now, okay? You are our cousin, and we allow you to make copies, otherwise we would not even show them to anyone else. Ms. Fong looked annoyed. Lulang, it is your fault. They are not useful for you. What are you borrowing them for? Are you trying to slow down Yunduan? Xiao Lulang got annoyed. How can you say that, eldest aunt? You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.